What?
Hey, that's Joypod music. They don't do that anymore.
Oh yeah, it's the computer game show now, isn't it?
Well, it's TC game show. TCGS. The computer game. TCGS, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'll just play that one.
No,
what now?
That's the old one. There's a newer one now, isn't there?
Oh, that one with the drums, isn't it? The problem with that one, right, is at the end it has like this hit, doesn't it? Like it's like a fade. And then, but before it ends, someone speaks, so I can't just copy that music because it would always have the bit where someone talks over it.
Isn't there anything you can do?
Oh, I'll just find a random drum loop on YouTube and just do that.
Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with Sean Bell.
Hello.
Matt Murray.
Hello.
And there's no James Farley this week. I'll let the listeners discuss amongst themselves as to why he's not here. Recent chatter about reviews ongoing, but we're not ready to confirm anything just yet. Maybe there'll be an announcement next week. I guess you'll find out. But instead, we have an old friend.
Hey.
I'm absolutely delighted to have him back on the show, not only as a guest, but as a special editor for this week's podcast. It's Capone Adam. Hello, Capone.
Hey, the unofficial fifth member of TCGS.
Well, that'd probably be John Denton, actually.
Also, it's TCGS.
Have you? What's going on with John Denton?
Hey, what's happening, everybody? My name is John Denton, and welcome to a new little series that's going to be on the channel, and it's quite simply called "We Need to Talk About Mr. Kanye West."
Have you seen?
He's become a YouTube
his
star.
YouTube.
Yeah, he's become a YouTube star.
Now he talks about trending things. So it's kind of smart that you get more money that way instead of just talking about games.
Yeah, let's face it, he's done all right for himself, the lid, hasn't he? But yeah, no, he's a big YouTube star now. But we still refer to him as our fifth member. So you're probably, this is only your second episode.
Yeah, but if you count Joypod as well, I've done way more than
you have
John.
Done way more. If
we
you don't know who Capone Adam is, let me give you a sort of brief history of Capone Adam. So
if you don't know, better get to know.
You've always been involved with my podcast way back from when we first started under a podcast called The Podcast with No Name. And then that evolved into Joypod, which evolved into the radio show at Play Radio, and you become a regular caller. You did segments for us. You did one segment for us where you would invent video games, right? You would pitch ideas for games, and that slowly evolved into your comedy Twitter account, Peter Molyneux. Are you still tweeting from that account?
I am, yeah, just not as much.
Is it finished now? Is it like the attention? Has it gone down?
It feels like it's peaked. Yeah, it's gone way past its peak now. So
yeah, it was a fair few years ago. When you finally met Peter Molyneux and you had that interview in Wired magazine, which I still can't believe. I can't believe you actually met him. It blew my mind when I saw that article and saw the photos of you sitting next to him and stuff. It was just weird.
Yeah,
what was the first thing he said to you when you saw him? Like, what was the first thing?
that he.
Oh, was that it?
No, I was impressed because he actually came out of the studio to greet me personally.
What, in the car park? Was he waiting there?
Yeah, in the car
all
park.
excited.
Although I think he was just doing that to have a smoke. But
Have you stayed in touch?
no.
Okay, that's a shame.
Adam,
so
I see that picture every day with like him like ruffling your hair, or whatever. Because I got like loads of magnets printed off from like Instagram pictures I had, and one of them was Peter Molyneux and you, and I've still got that on my fridge to this very day.
he was ruffling his hair.
Yeah, there's like a
I
weird.
don't remember
picture of-
that.
Yeah,
Oh, you'd have to send me a photo of that. I don't remember that.
yeah.
But
it's great. I mean, I see it every single day of my life, and it's still good. Still a good picture.
What a bizarre thing to go through. Anyway, before we move on, we better thank our Patreon producers this month. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, and Richard Sawyer.
Oh.
What?
Why is that funny?
You're-
They're very respected members of our community, Adam.
Which one's the oldest member, would you say? Like your most
Out of those names?
reliable?
Good question. Richard
Aaron-
Sawyer, I
is
think.
Aaron- No, it's Aaron
It
Patrick,
goes
isn't
in
it?
order. It's Aaron Patrick.
Yeah.
Oh, why is it going order?
Well, because the ones who start here, who've been there longest, and
No, he means oldest.
well, I mean oldest as in like they've been a
Longest.
producer for.
Well, the guy that asked the questions here, so we can confirm. What did you mean by that, Capone?
Just who has been a full Nels the most times?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So, yeah, Aaron Patrick, right?
Yeah.
But they're all equally special. Thank you so much for going full Nels.
Wow.
You can go full Nels by going to patreon.com/TCGS. Various different tiers there, bonus podcasts, live shows, all sorts of stuff. So go and check that website out. And if you can afford it, then, and you want to support the show, then it's very much appreciated. Right, let's get back to Capone Adam. Capone, long time since what was it, 3 years since you were last on the show?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
It was episode 41, wasn't it?
Right. Well, very early on then. A lot's happened since then. What have you thought about our taking over of the gaming podcast scene that's happened since, you were there before, the live shows, the t-shirts. What do you think? What's it look? What have you thought about our global success?
Global success.
Yeah. We get downloads all over the world.
We do.
We do.
Mm.
I mean, so, like, the thing that stands out to me is that you all have great chemistry.
Thank you.
That sounds like something I'm.
That is the most
reading
bland
out.
fucking praise that I've ever heard in
that's
my
like
life. That you, honestly,
Five-star
people.
iTunes review for a podcast you haven't even listened to.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. that
Well,
is.
Great camaraderie.
I mean, I think it's like great.
Thanks.
Is
Yes, Wes.
it just like listening to some mates down at the pub? Yeah.
I do like. I don't know. Like, I've got like this thing. I'll be honest. Right? I've got like this document on my computer that I'm looking at, and I did make like a section of improvements to the show. How would I improve the show? Which kind of ties
Oh
into
my
what
God.
you're saying, but
Well, could we hear a couple of those?
well,
Can we hear all of them?
I don't know.
I don't know about all of them. If there's a whole folder, Matt.
Well, it's a
We wanna
document.
go to bed
I
at
don't
some
know how
point
big the
tonight.
font
Text
is,
file.
you know.
Yeah, go on.
I don't know. 'Cause it sounds like I'm just telling you how to run your show, and I don't
Go on, then.
do that as a
Well,
guest.
let's just have a couple of
Yeah, it's always good to
examples.
hear
Just give me
feedback.
one
I mean,
example. One top. If you had to pick one top tip for how we can improve the show, I'm all ears. Go on.
Okay. I'll rename the show
Go on.
to CGS Computer
Why
Game
is that?
Show. Because like the Facebook. Just take out, make it more simple.
Justin Timberlake.
Okay.
CGS is easier to remember than TCGS.
Good point, Matt. Have you? Are you prepared to change all of our socials and get this done?
I wouldn't change the socials because, as I've explained many times, the socials are for the company. We don't have socials for the podcast. No, I'm not going to change that. That is a lovely suggestion, Adam, but no, it's just not going to.
Oh, that is a backhanded. Thanks for your suggestion. We'll
No,
jot
have you
that
got any more
down.
sensible options? What else?
Oh, it's getting a bit nasty now. You've hit him where it hurts, there, Capone.
Get rid of
What
the
else have you got?
£10 tier.
Oh, right.
Why is that?
Because
Didn't you see in the quizzing?
I mean, bearing in mind, I put quite a lot of work into that last month.
This is
Adam.
going to get personal very quickly.
There's some really good shows on that £10 tier, but I think you'd make more money if you put it on a 5, because I think more people would buy the £5 tier.
Do you reckon?
Okay, next one.
Fucking hell, okay, right.
Go on.
These are actual ideas. Okay, I wasn't expecting.
Stop him now. Yeah.
2-hour limit on shows, and I think
No.
Dash Radio.
I think this would. I don't know, I just think it would help
Yeah,
with
do you
the.
work for
Yeah.
Dash Radio? Can we use the company car park, yes or no?
The only reason I say that is because I think it would help with the James issue.
I love this. What's the James issue?
There's a lot of James issues.
What's the James issue?
He gets tired after 2 hours.
It does, doesn't it?
does,
I think
big
it's
sleepy
even
bear.
before that. Yeah, I don't think it's it. Okay, that's enough of that. Listen, now we all know what the reaction was to the last time you were on the show. Well, you weren't actually on the show; you were just editing the show last time, and the reaction was. It's the most 50-50 thing we've ever seen, right? We get 50% of people absolutely slating it, and we'll get that again this time. We get 50% of people saying that it's the best thing, funniest thing they've ever heard. So, how much pressure do you feel under for editing this one? Like, how now you know we got this bigger audience. There's a lot more people that have never heard you before. Do you feel pressured? Do you feel worried about editing the show this week, or are you feeling confident about what you've got for us?
I think if I'm going to edit the show, like, people should hear the edit, and I think.
Go on. What? What? Sorry, what? If I'm going to edit the show, people should hear the edit. Okay, fine. That is a weird sentence.
Well, you know, in the past, right, we've done like
Yes.
2 versions, and that
Yeah.
seems a bit
Only-
of a
only
cop-out.
once,
It's almost like you're embarrassed by me.
Yeah, that's true.
Now this is you giving your full confidence.
Yeah, you got my full support now. You got my full support. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to ask you to tone it down or anything. Just go do whatever you want. But you have to. Like, next week's feedback's going to be a fucking nightmare. I'm not gonna water it down for you. It's going to be bad.
I'm not going to say anything now, like spoilers, but I don't think Kane and Rince will be happy.
Why not? Why won't Kane and Rince be happy? What have they got to do with anything?
You'll find out next week.
Okay.
If you're listening, Kane and Rince, it's all in good nature. Just
Oh, right, okay. I have started to worry now. Okay, fine. And finally, how have you dealt with the whole COVID thing, man? How have you dealt with lockdown? What's it been like where you are? How have you been passing the time?
I thought you only talked about this on the bonus show.
Yeah, I know we usually do, but you're not on the bonus show. You're on this show, so.
Initially, I can't even say that word. Initially,
Yep. Nailed it.
No, I thought it was great because
What? Lockdown. You thought lockdown was great?
like the early stages, because you kind of knew what you had to do. You just stayed at home, and that was easy to understand. Now it's a bit more like there's the more awkward stuff, right? Like if you
Like what? Give us an example.
like if you say like, "Oh, can I give you a hug?" Oh no, let's just do the elbow thing. Like,
Okay.
and like if you are invited out and you kind of don't want to go, then you feel really like you're being, I don't know, like you're being too fussy, or you worry that other people are being too, like you're just too concerned about how everyone's reacting.
But where do you sit in that argument? Do you wear a mask?
Yes,
You're not anti-mask then?
no.
Good. And are you going around hugging people, or are you?
Well, it's just my sister. Like at the end, like I said, "Oh, can I hug you?" And then she said, "Oh no, just do the elbow."
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going around elbowing your family.
So
Well, that's good.
for me,
People
like
elbow.
luckily, because I can just work from home, I feel like that's the most awkward part of it. That kind
What?
of stuff.
All right. Okay. So working from home's been fine for you. Not going out. You haven't felt claustrophobic. You've had no problems with that.
Yeah, I just miss pottering around in supermarkets, comparing sodium levels between similar products. You can't do that anymore. You have to just go straight in and just get what you
Yeah,
need.
it sucks. So now, I'm with you there, Adam. I miss that too, but it's got to move on, haven't we?
Should we get to feedback for last week's show?
Let's start with the main
Feel free to
topic.
join in, Capone, whenever you want. Go on.
Okay.
I actually want to ask a question to Capone about this subject, but let's read the first bit of feedback from Gary
have it.
Newton. I'm 100% with Farley. Fireworks are shit. They're nice to look at for about 3 minutes, but that's all you need. After that, you run out of oohs and ahs, and you just have to stand there waiting for it to be over. Load of piss. Adam, what are your thoughts on fireworks?
It brings back bad memories. Like I told you this on Me, You, Him, didn't I? The fireworks story.
Me, You and Him was another podcast we did together. You do need to explain that, Capone. You can't just drop that in. Yeah, I remember there being something about fireworks. Oh, go and tell that story. Go and tell the story about why you don't like fireworks, because I'm pretty sure Sean hasn't heard it.
No,
and
I haven't.
definitely loads of our listeners haven't heard it. Go on.
It's just one year when I was like a really little kid.
He wasn't that little, Sean.
I was about 11. That's kind of young. So yeah, a friend of mine and his dad invited me out to go and see some fireworks at a big display. Like halfway through that, poop started running down my leg and exited mine.
Not anyone's poop. He'd shit himself, just to be clear.
Yeah,
It just... Right, go on.
Yeah, so I just came out the trouser leg.
Someone spotted it, right?
Yeah, someone behind me shouted, "Shit's coming out."
That's the episode title.
And then what did they say in the car?
Well, like at that actual time, my friend and dad sort of like laughed, and they thought the comment was about the fireworks, like, "Oh, shit's coming out. Looks like shit," or something.
Well, they thought it was like they're saying, "Oh, shit's going down" or something like.
Yeah,
They didn't think it was cool.
Yeah.
Shit just got real. No, that's
Oh, shit's coming down.
Shit's coming out. If you saw that, why would that be the sentence you say? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, that is the thing we're going to have to use from now on, right?
Shit's coming out.
Oh, I've been playing the new Call of Duty. That shit is coming out.
Go on. What did they say in the car?
What was it?
Didn't they say it smells like shit in here or
it smells
something?
like shit. And then I said, I tried to pass it off as a fart.
yeah,
Okay.
safe option.
So that's the reason why Capone doesn't like fireworks. Sorry, God. So what's the issue? What he doesn't like fireworks? Does he, Gary
Gary
Dayton?
doesn't like fireworks. I mean, yeah, like you don't have to vocalise your appreciation for every single firework, but you can still just stand there in silence and just enjoy it. You don't have to keep going the whole
Yeah,
way
and
throughout.
apart from like New Year's, the New Year's Eve ones, which can go on for like 15, 20 minutes or
Yeah, pretty
whatever.
much.
Like generally they're over in like 5. Like nice.
Big deal.
Yeah, you get out, you stand in the cold, you light a firework, you run away, and it goes. I like them. What's not to like? I don't understand. Like, who's sitting there going, oh, like I don't know.
I haven't done fireworks
If
at
it's
home,
well
which
managed,
is
then there's
annoying.
usually like a crescendo towards the end, so it just gets procedurally more exciting, and then that's it.
It's never well managed in my household. It's it's literally one at a time.
Honestly, we've never done our own. We've always
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gone
me
to
neither. I
display.
think Jill basically would just thinks I'm gonna blow my hands off if I do it. So,
Yeah.
not
You
allowed.
probably would though, because I know you go to the shops and buy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you got illegal ones off the internet because you heard they were really good.
Well,
You'd take it full Matt Murray.
Yeah, when I went to Sainsbury's, and I think that's where they sell them, isn't it? I would just go right, just whatever the biggest, most expensive one is. I get 10 of them, and we'll light them up.
Catherine rules are the only really good ones that you can do at home, though, right?
I wouldn't know.
You don't know Catherine, but you know what Catherine rule
I
is,
don't know
right?
what one is, but I just
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good at home. They're pretty good.
What do you mean?
I don't.
eat at home?
Yeah, directly in the home. No, have you seen indoor fireworks, Matt?
No,
they're
no,
shite.
I've heard of them. But...
One of the most bizarre things you will ever see in your life. You will never understand why anyone ever purchases them or what the point is. They're just they're the ones that it's like a little disc, and then you set them on fire, and then a bit of ash comes out. That's it. And you just think, well, who's buying
Sit
this?
there fizzing in a frying pan for a few minutes, and you go, and you're not even allowed to stand in the same room as it, just in case. So you're like looking through the doorway, going, yeah, yep.
Indoor fireworks. And speaking of fireworks, have either of you done the Animal Crossing stuff yet?
Nah.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
I did, because Elodie really wanted to, and she absolutely loved it. She was over the moon when her fireworks were in the air. Loved it.
Even the sparklers?
Oh, no. I mean, that wasn't very exciting. But basically, so obviously we had already bought a lot of raffle tickets or whatever it was in the day. We knew it was 7 o'clock for the fireworks. When we got there, we're like, I wonder how we can do custom ones. And then we looked it up and was like, I hope I missed it. But obviously you talked to Isabel, and then all the designs, of which Elodie had already done loads of designs just for clothes and stuff. Yeah, we added them up and then we waited around. Yeah, it was brilliant seeing all her designs in the air. She loved that.
Cool. Yeah, we didn't do that, but Harry did buy some sparklers, and I couldn't believe it. I thought he was pressing the wrong button or something. So, Sean, you know sparklers, right? What do you do with sparklers when you light them?
When you light them, you just sort of wave them around.
Yeah. Well, Harry bought a sparkler, and he was like, "Oh, sparkler! What do you do with sparklers?" Because last time he went to a fireworks display, he was a lot younger, so he doesn't really remember them. And I was like, "Well, you sort of get them, you light them, and then you can like wave them about." But when he lit his, the character sort of just points them at the floor and stays still until it fizzles out, and that's it. And I went, "Harry, give me the pad." Like, clearly, look, you got another one here, because clearly you moved one of the sticks or something. So I lit one, and I was moving the sticks, I was pressing the buttons, nothing was happening. The character lights them and points them at the ground, like, and they fizzle out, and that's it. And I just thought, oh my God, you can't even write things in the air with them, which is what I thought. That's right, Matt, I didn't miss something, right?
No, I mean, yeah, well, we also tried to, like, you can't even move them, can you?
You can't move the character while you're holding it.
They wouldn't want you, running into Isabel with a sparkler, but yeah, I didn't expect to be able to write things in the air, although that would be cool, but at least
and
move
if it
my
left
arms
like
a bit.
little trail, and you could take a screenshot as if it was like a long exposure photo.
Yeah.
Exactly. What the fuck? And I just have this feeling that Harry learned a lot from Animal Crossing, like seriously. Like, he reads all the facts and stuff that Blathers tells you and then just barks them at people. He's obsessed with neon tetras. He wants to buy a neon tetra as a pet at the moment. Like, that's all he's talking about. But I've just got this feeling that he's learned about fireworks from Animal Crossing, and when we go to the next firework display, someone's going to hand him a sparkler, light it, and he's just going to point it at the ground and stay perfectly still. You're just going to be like, no, wave it. But yeah, sums up that game. 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 Sums up that game.
I like that game, Call of Duty.
Sums up that game. Sums up that game. Sums up that game. Sums up that game.
I love this. I love chatting about games.
Sums up that game. Sums up that game. Sums up that game. Sums up that game.
It's a new game.
Sums up that game. Sums up that game.
See that cocaine?
Sums up that game. Sums up that game. Sums up that game. Sums up that game. Okay, next bit of feedback.
Kane and Rince's highlights of the week.
With your little T-shaped piece of plastic that's sat on one side of your head. God, it's been a long time since I've seen one.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, but it was because it hooked over your ear with the little rubber like loop that it had. That's what meant that it sat there really comfortable. But yeah, I don't even know if it still works. I should try and charge it up, I think, but I've probably long since dead battery inside. But
Sammy from New Zealand. Hi lads, while I can understand and agree with some of the criticisms of Halo Infinite's gameplay, I think a lot of it is maybe too harsh. I think it's helpful to keep in mind not every game is going to take advantage of the next gen hardware in the same way. While it didn't melt my eyeballs, after watching a 4K 60 demo, I thought it looked great and buttery smooth. The audio was top notch and particle effects etc. were hitting in all the right notes. While the lighting needs a little work, I was happy with how it looked. We just need to see more. If this game is fun to play, it's going to be an absolutely huge game for Xbox. Also, if you haven't yet, check out the Flight Sim demos. I've never seen anything more fitting of the next-gen title. Cheers and stay safe. Yeah, and that's Sammy.
A couple
what
of
do you
things.
think?
First, were you talking about gameplay or were you talking about graphics? Because you started off talking about gameplay. I mean, the gameplay I think I will always be disappointed in because it just looked like Halo 1 and I went into it thinking this needs to be something completely different. You need to take Halo and turn it into something completely new to get people excited again. You know, obviously you still have, you know, the big characters like the Master Chief and the Cortana.
Yeah.
Was it Keys? I think was one of them.
That's a former Sky Sports commentator.
That's the fella. Oh, disgraced. But obviously you got to have all that. But I expected a completely new direction for Halo. Take it and bring it into you know the next gen
that's kind of
idea of what gaming is.
I was kind of hoping for like a God of War kind of treatment, like how they changed
Well, God of War's a great example. God of War's a great example. If they've taken the initial idea and then they've developed it into something modern. And I was expecting that for Halo, we didn't get it. So that's where the disappointment for that comes from.
Do you know what I want to see?
Go on.
I want to see Mario flying in space.
Yeah. Cool. As for the graphics, I don't know how you can look at that and say it looks all right. I mean, what did you think, Capone?
Well, it's interesting because, like, there's a lot of backlash about how it looked. But if you kind of go back a few years, if you remember Watch Dogs 1, where they did cheat with that to try and make it look amazing, and then that kind of got backlash. So I guess you just have to find a way to balance these things.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've had the problem with Watch Dogs is that it was better than we'd ever seen anything in gaming at the time. It was like a huge step forward visually. But with this, we've already seen loads of things that look better than what we'd seen. And, you know, it didn't have to look like the best looking game ever. It just had to look like at least a current gen game. And it I don't know. Maybe, you know, there's probably more going on there. I'm sure they're working hard to make it look better. But, I mean, that whole Craig thing, there's no getting away from how bad that looks. I think the screenshots made it look way worse as well. The ones that they released afterwards, it looked... I mean, the screenshots they released were embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that it's not just about the tech that makes games look great, it's also the art direction. So it feels like there's not a global kind of management going on with that, the art direction of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are right in that, you know, let's wait for the game to come out, let's see what it's all about. I'm not worrying yet. I've been playing a hell of a lot of Halo, and it's just reminded me about how much I love those games, the multiplayer anyway. So let's see. I mean, they've already hinted that they've got a lot more to show. Let's see how it comes out. I think we were reviewing it. We were reviewing its first showing. Basically, we were talking about it as it's the first time we've seen it, and it didn't have a good showing. And I think I stand by those criticisms, to be honest.
Yeah, Matt brought up a good point last week. You know, with Breath of the Wild. How that looked really terrible at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Matt said that, did he?
Sounds like something I'd say, yeah.
Okay. Oh, it was definitely me, but that's fine.
But I mean, but that game in screenshots, and it looked unbelievably shit. But
I know I know. I mean, you're telling the person that said it last week, Matt. So I know exactly what you mean.
I'm just talking generally. You know, it looks bad in screenshots. Obviously, it looks great running. I think it's just because we thought that would be the big, here we go. This is the Xbox show. It's Halo. It's going to blow our face off, and it didn't. I mean, from that first second where you saw the pilot and Master Chief and that in the the Pelican. And I was like, ooh, this is
Yeah, and it's like you say, it's of course we can accept not every game looking absolutely stunning. It's just that this was the game, wasn't it, or should be.
I will say this though. I've seen a lot of people saying, look, games are going to be held back because of what Microsoft are doing with the S and the X. That's going to be a real sort of stumbling point. It's not really, is it? It's only for their games that might hold them back on it. They're not going to hold back third-party games. There's no need for them to do that. Although we haven't seen any stunning stuff from Xbox in terms of visuals that absolutely blow your mind, we have had the best version of Red Dead Redemption 2 on their system. So it'll be interesting to see what the side-by-sides are going to be like when the third-party stuff really hits the ground. And you got to remember there's a big one coming out at the end of the year, Cyberpunk. That'll be compared a lot between those two systems when the next-gen version of that game comes out. So, it's going to be interesting. Okay.
I actually think there's going to be barely any difference. I think Digital Foundry will have a real hard time saying, this is a PS5, this is Xbox Series X. I think it'll be basically the same.
Ultimately, even though we were told and we were shown that there was a massive amount of difference between Red Dead 2 on the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. Really, a lot of people actually going to be able to notice that. So ultimately, no, you're not going to notice much of a difference. But when you've got a website constantly telling you this game runs better on this system, you can't. Is that a big deal? Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
For those of us who want to know, they've got the best version of that game. Yeah, that's why.
But how many people are there?
Games on their One X, because that arguably since that's come out that's been the best place to be playing the third parties. But
I think pricing is more important. And that's going to tell a lot when all that's announced. Okay, cool.
Right, I need to go for a slash. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry.
Cool.
Okay, last bit, Oodles. Feedback from last week. There seems to be a clear divide within the show: the Expo owners and the Sony ponies. Can't we all just get along? I'm finding myself to be more platform agnostic as of late, being in a fortuitous situation to be able to have all the consoles. But the argument Farley has been having is absolutely accurate. Sony have never needed to be consumer friendly. They've always had their own proprietary controllers and memory cards and whatnot. And Xbox beat to their own drum about being a platform, not a console. Then there's Nintendo. I don't feel the console was half as apparent as people make out. What say you all?
Beautiful. This is a wonderful time.
Cool.
I mean,
look
obviously the discussion that we're having is primarily like, what are we all buying first, right? We're all sad enough that in a few years' time we'll probably have everything, because
100%,
because that's our fucking lives, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
you've just put the fucking cherry on it, right?
But so it's just interesting, like talking to each other about our sort of decision-making processes regarding which one we go in on first. I don't think there's any actual animosity or loyalty, or well, no, there is with Farley. Obviously, fucking hates the Xbox, but. I don't know. I don't think any of us are taking it particularly seriously.
No, and I will say that I think there's part of us that wishes that we all chose the same system, because that makes things a hell of a lot easier for all of us.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit frustrating that one of us seems to be, especially when I'm, game sharing with him. It's like, well, pull your weight a little bit. You know what I mean? But no, I think James might go for a Series S. I've just got this feeling.
Is that James got so badly burnt with the Xbox One because he got that before the PS4?
Yes.
And then he hated that. So I mean, he's totally bitter towards it because he got that before getting the PS4. Took ages to get the PS4. Eventually got it. It's like me with a PS3 and 360.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, me personally, I can see myself doing the same next generation as I've done this one. I'll get both if I can, but I'll have Series X for third parties, and then I'll have a PS5 for their exclusives. And especially with the xCloud and other options, it feels like it makes more sense to get that as like the bigger, Xbox is like the platform to have all the extra stuff, and then but I don't want to miss out on the exclusives on PS5.
I still think there's a hell of a lot for them to announce before we make these decisions. So it's going to be, it's going to be a fun month, I think, this one.
And then we're going to head on over here into this sandstorm created by, I guess, these CPU fans. And again, when you get into this environment, I'm static here, but you hear the crisp sounds of sand coming at you. There's a tension in the controller from going over this sand environment, and then you push further in.
Cool. Is that it?
Oh, yeah. That's it for feedback. If you want to leave us feedback, go to tcgs.co/deartcgs.
Now, although James Farley isn't here to read us the news, he did compile the news for us, didn't he?
He did.
And Sean is stepping back into his news suit. Not in this weather, that would be ridiculous. His news shorts to tell us the news. Sean, what have you got for us this week?
I was just going to say, given the heat and everything, did we consider the idea that maybe James just didn't want to do this week, so he wouldn't have to turn his fan off?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
He's given up
Didn't want to be
streaming
in that
because
garage.
he said it's too hot.
Yeah.
It's all being marked down. For his review. Don't worry about that.
That's a shame.
So, that is a shame.
Marvel's Avengers is out in a few months, next month, and Spider-Man is coming to it. But
Can I, before you go into this news story, what's going on with this game? Because
it's gone mental, hasn't it?
Well, I think the thing is that there are a hell of a lot of Avengers fans out there, and it seems like an interesting direction to take an Avengers game.
Mm-hmm.
Yet everyone seems so about it. Like, I mean, from
I don't know,
2
I've
years
seen
ago.
that change over the weekend with the beta.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen lots more people saying, actually, this is fun and I prefer this character to that character. And yeah, I mean, I think if you pre-ordered it, the beta was this weekend, and if you haven't, the public beta's next weekend. And I've seen a fair bunch of people who.
So you're an Avengers fan, aren't you, Sean?
I mean, a fan is pushing it. I've seen
You watched them all,
and I know about them.
So why have you've not been particularly positive about this game in the build-up? Have you? What's been?
I enjoyed. So I have had access to the beta this weekend, but I've only played basically what we played at EGX last year, which I thought was pretty good fun. I still from that intro bit that we played at EGX, I didn't see how it was, because they'd been saying it's basically a sort of Destiny style game, whereas in that demo that wasn't clear, was it? It was very much like
not at all, no.
bit, and it was good fun. But yeah, no, that Destiny-esque stuff is all in there apparently. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed what we played, because obviously the initial fuss around it was the fact that, obviously none of the characters used the likenesses from the films, right? Which I don't, was never intended. And obviously there's probably now enough distance from the films for people to not be upset about that.
I don't know.
But then, Spider-Man came out in 2018. No one was like, "Oh, why isn't it Tom Holland?" It's just everyone just accepted that was a different Spider-Man. Whereas with this, seems to have been a bit of a sticking point for people. So there was that, and then that early footage came out, didn't it? And everyone was like, "Oh, this looks kind of shit." It was just quite bad quality footage that got leaked. And yeah, so I don't know. Everyone's been very ready to dunk on this, haven't they?
They have.
And yeah, so this hasn't helped. So they announced that Spider-Man is going to be in the game, but only on PlayStation.
Okay, right.
So Xbox and PC players can go fuck themselves.
Can I ask you a couple of questions before we get going? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that doesn't know the Avengers that listens to this thing. Is he an Avenger?
I mean, I think so. He becomes one.
What do you mean you
films.
think so? Is he in the? He's not in the films.
It varies, doesn't it? There's all comics. There's all different.
He wasn't
timelines
first,
and shit. He has been an Avenger. Yeah.
He has been an Avenger.
Yeah.
So was he always meant to be like a? Is he Luigi in Mario Odyssey, or is he a little bit?
What do you mean?
Do you know what I mean? Is he just standing there with balloons? What are we missing here in the Xbox version?
So he's a playable character, but
right, okay.
But this is what bothers me, is that even as someone who A, likes Spider-Man, and B, will probably play this on a PlayStation, it's still annoying, because ultimately he can't be essential to the game, right? He's going to be inherently superfluous because he's not in the other versions. Yeah. Therefore, surely by necessity, he's not going to have as much time spent on him. And it's not, I don't know, I think he's just going to end up feeling a bit second rate compared to the other characters, and a bit unnecessary.
That sucks, right?
Yeah. I mean, mate, hopefully I'm being unfair, but it's just really strange. And so since this happened, there was a bunch more announcements, weren't there? That basically there's all like different skins if you're with Virgin Media or if you buy it from this shop or that shop.
You gotta love that stuff.
It's gone absolutely nuts.
Joe sent me an email today and said, "Are you interested in this?" And it said, "If you buy this pizza for $17.99 from Papa John's, you will get a double XP for 48 hours in Call of Duty." It's like, that's so weird. Like, who's sitting there going,
it probably works, right? Because they've been doing it long enough. It's not like...
Oh, it must work. Yeah, sure. I mean, I remember Matt with Destiny. Weren't you running out and buying Red Bull or something? Or
no,
was
it was Rockstar or something, and I had I bought 3 or 4 of those cans because you got some XP codes or whatever, and for some reason I thought it'd be interesting to do a 5 or 7 hour stream on like 7 o'clock in the morning on the launch day, and I had one of those cans, and I basically thought I was going to die. I had heart palpitations for hours afterwards, so never again.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to down it within a minute.
Well, I mean, I just 2 minutes.
So stuff like that. I mean, I was on Virgin Media, so I got sent a free ship. But it was
you got free those like speed it
was speed bikes and stuff. This stuff what I'm saying is that yes, they must work, but sometimes I can't understand them. Like, I can't see someone sitting down going, "We need internet this week. Well, let's get Virgin Media." Why? Because I get a free bike in Destiny. But this is a commitment. This is like a contract for 2 years, and it's quite expensive. Why are we going with them? Because of the bike. I want that bike in Destiny.
If you need to renew, and you're like, well, I'll move now because of the Destiny bike.
Okay. All right. I mean, not many people would be like that. Not everyone's a Matt Murray. That's what I'm saying.
I think enough people do. Others, they wouldn't do this stuff.
Well, I guess you're right. I mean, you are literally thinking about giving up on your Apple iPhone loyalty since the 3G came out. That was your first one, was it?
No, I had it since the first one.
Since the first one, you're thinking about switching to Samsung just so you could play xCloud, right?
Look, we'll come on to that in the news.
Okay, fine. So it must work on enough people. There must be enough Matts out there, is what I'm saying. Capone, have you ever switched internet provider for a free gaming code?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
You loser.
Well, fine. Okay, so going back to Sony though, I mean, is it petty or is it, making sure that you've got a license and like you own that character? Why would you let them?
Petty. It's just like they're making the most of the IP they've got. I mean, I guess overall it's kind of sad and kind of annoying, but I get why they do it. They're leveraging what they've got, and
you're right. You are right, Sean. You were saying in the week that someone had posted up. This is a real, first to have exclusive characters like this. Yeah. And as you pointed out, Soul Calibur did that, and that Sonic Racing did that stuff with where you had Banjo-Kazooie in.
But at least they were quite silly additions, right?
You could see why they were doing that.
Yeah, it's like a fun bonus, not like a character that, like Spider-Man's quite fucking popular. Probably quite a lot of people be keen to play as him in an Avengers game. It's not like a funny sort of niche thing to put in.
Here's the sad thing for Microsoft, though. I can't imagine a situation where they could do the same back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine a game being released on there. And Banjo-Kazooie adding to Smash Brothers, they let that go ahead. But I'm just thinking for Sony, if a game come out on a Sony platform, Microsoft going to say they can't have the grab by the ghoulies guy. I can't see him appearing in many games from now on. But I suppose it's they could do what they're not very consumer friendly that lot, are they? But James loves them. What do you think of this, Capone? What do you think about this move?
I mean, they eventually, when you have these special character deals, they always become available down the road, don't they?
Yeah, but I can't see that happening this time.
Yeah, because this is because of the relationship with Sony, right, and them holding the movie rights.
Yeah, I think this was different.
So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sony have specific ties to Spider-Man.
And I think that makes it feel worse. It's not like, oh, this Strike or this Guy in Destiny, it's exclusive to PS4, but in 12 months' time you'll get it, and it'll turn out to be rubbish. But yeah, this feels like, okay, it's never gonna appear on another platform.
It's never gonna be a fight like Spider-Man. It's never gonna be a vital part of that game because like they've got their own Spider-Man game. They're not suddenly gonna make a better Spider-Man.
Do people associate Spider-Man with PlayStation? I don't think they do outside of the people that are really into gaming that know these sort of
obviously, so Sony have had the movie rights, infamously put out a load of shite films and one absolutely incredible one.
Smash the font everywhere. You know what I mean? Oh, fuck it, just use a Spider-Man font.
But then, I mean, I don't know how this stuff works, how these deals get made, but then I'm pretty sure Spider-Man was in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch. So it's not like Spider-Man's banned from other consoles.
Just Microsoft consoles.
Yeah, maybe.
Is this game coming to Switch?
Nah, doubt it.
Right,
well,
okay.
Certainly not planned, and I mean, just to look at it, I can't see how they'd...
they've got some pretty incredible looking games on the Switch by making them look pretty incredible. So I mean, all bets are off with that thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a shame, but you can kind of understand why they're doing that if they own the rights. I mean, I kind of hope that Microsoft buy the rights to Spider-Man now and then get it removed from the PlayStation version, because that'd just be really funny. But
that's never happened in a billion years, David.
No, it's not. But they've got a lot of money. Money talks, Matt.
It's going to be like because none of you've seen any of the films, right?
I've seen the films.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So you've seen Civil War, yeah?
You meant a high pitch there, Matt?
No, I've seen the films.
I have, sir.
I think I've seen Civil War.
Yeah?
Probably.
So that's
what
the
do you mean,
one.
Probably. You were saying that you'd never seen. Like, didn't you say the other day that you're not an Avengers fan or something?
Yeah, but if you also listen, I said that we watched a few like the Marvel things over Christmas because we're like, why not? It's like something to do in it.
I tune out
so I think I have seen
quickly.
that one. Yeah, I think I've seen all the Avengers films. I don't think I know that much.
What?
So basically, in Captain America Civil
War, there's only like 4, Dave.
So
is there? I thought there was like 20 odd.
You're
thinking Marvel.
Once you've had it once, there's no topping it.
Yeah.
Oh fuck it! I don't want to get into it. Go on.
Marvel's all the characters. Avengers,
I don't care.
Point is, Spider-Man's in it for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And everyone was like, that felt a bit weird. What was that about? And it turned out it's basically because they only got the rights to use, like Disney and Sony were like butting heads over whether or not they could put Spider-Man in it, and it was only agreed at the last minute, so they just had to like shove him in. Just paste him in. He's just like stood around in the background going, yeah, let's go.
I'm Spider-Man.
Webs.
Kane and Rince's highlights of the week.
Some people were calling it the SNES, some people were calling it the SNES, some people were calling it the Super NES. Of course, you can just call it the Super Nintendo. I think so far we've all been SNESers, but I know some people have a problem with that.
I tend to write down SNES and say Super Nintendo.
Okay.
That's kind of my MO.
We always said Super Nintendo, but now I refer to it as SNES. I think emulation did a lot for that because just typing SNES over and over again. Not that I would ever emulate anything ever, but yeah, they just for some reason after typing it, SNES feels right now. But as a kid, we all just said Super Nintendo.
I think some people prefer it as with a kind of soft S at the end, like a Z, so like a SNES. Which doesn't work for me because the word system, it starts with a sharp hard S, doesn't it? So SNES would be Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Anyway.
I like that,
Right. Anyway, Sony are good actually, because they did a new State of Play thing, and we all thought it would be rubbish, and it was all right. I thought.
Yeah, I was
okay.
pleasantly surprised. Obviously, last week, we all I mean, I was still into it, but you all said, it's probably no point. Obviously, they've already confirmed at that point no PS5 news.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. But no, I was actually really pleasantly surprised.
What were you surprised about? What did you like?
Well, because I
just run through
enjoyed
everything,
almost all of it. In fact, the weakest game was probably the first game, which is Crash 4, only because I have no sort of allegiance to that franchise.
Weaker than that God thing.
The what? Godfall.
The God thing.
Godfall.
What's that thing called? Godfall.
Well, I think that was easily the best showing they've had of that. I mean, the trailer before in the previous one was dreadful and generic, and the music was terrible. At least they went to mechanics, and it seemed more interesting. I mean, it's not my sort of thing at all, but it was way better than it has been up to now.
Should we have a run through it in order? So
let's do it.
So we started with Crash 4. I mean, I'm on the same page as Matt. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I thought no one would care when they did the remakes, but they sold millions, so that's just me.
I thought it looked. I mean, I'm probably not going to get it. I have no interest, but I think it looked great. Like graphically, it looked really nice. They got like cool filters, and it looked like quite fun gameplay.
Yeah, that whole, I forget what they actually called it, but that sort of remix mode where you could replay levels, but then some of them are underwater now or whatever. That seemed really interesting.
Yeah, I do wonder. We will find out how much of that massive amount of sales that trilogy got was down to nostalgia. Rather than people wanting a Crash resurgence.
Obviously, the sales of the previous one were definitely nostalgia, but I think this will do crazy numbers as well.
Really?
I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Crash is like, again, me not having a PS1 and stuff. I think it's just such a core franchise at a time that people have grown up with that. I think this will do great. And even the previews that went up live a couple of weeks ago said, this is once again it's like an excellent Crash game. So,
but then have they had that feel like of Crash based on that buying that trilogy? I suppose we'll find out, won't we? Go on.
So then there was the news that Hitman 3 is going to have PlayStation VR support, as is apparently the entire trilogy.
Which I don't understand how that's going to work.
Me neither, but I'm excited to try.
You're a VR fan, aren't you, Capone?
Yeah.
So what do you reckon? Because when I saw this, that Hitman was going VR, I thought this has got so much potential to be amazing, but then it's got the same amount of potential to be absolutely appalling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally. Because one of the most impressive things about Hitman is just how many people are in the scene and. There's so much going on at any one time, and that's got to be massively scaled back for VR, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really an atmospheric game, so I don't know why they picked that game in particular.
Plus, so in the trailer they sort of teased the fact that you'll get to garrote someone in first person. But if you've ever played a VR game with first person melee combat where people are sort of reactive to what your hands are doing, it's usually pretty wonky. Which is why so many of them are, they're often quite cartoony and stuff. So, I mean, that's going to look rubbish, surely.
Well, I was also thinking, because I watched Matt's stream this week, and he killed one person by standing the complete opposite side of the map, getting a sniper rifle out and shooting someone through the window. And I thought, can you imagine that in VR? Because the pixels are going to be, it's going to be so I can see a blue pixel.
But you'll be zoomed in, Dave. That's what sniper rifles do.
Yeah, no,
they make everything far away look bigger.
Yes, but it is still far away. It's still got to render all that stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, there's already sniper games on VR.
What's that?
Awesome.
What's that?
Sorry.
No, what were you saying, Capone? I missed that first bit.
There's VR games where you have sniper rifles and, you look through the scope and it acts like an actual sniper rifle.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
And that's a really nice effect. I
mean, I think some of the stuff that James has played on stream looks surprisingly good. I thought, the LA Noire VR thing that he did looked surprisingly good. I don't know if that just looked better on Twitch than it did for his headset, but I it seemed way better than I thought it would look. So hopefully there's something to it, and maybe it requires, is it coming to the PS4 or?
I mean, they're not said. You would assume so.
I don't know if you would assume so. Maybe this is the game they're using to show what the PS5 can do in terms of VR. and how much better it can cope with VR than the PS4. But I suppose we'll need
it says
to hear
here
more
the
from that.
entire trilogy will get VR support, including the upcoming Hitman 3. So that I would assume, the first two, and on PS4.
If it's all 3 games, I can't see it being that great. Like, I feel like if they're doing all entire games with it, it's more like just a port. Not a port, but like a. I think VR games work better when they're their own separate.
Built to the ground up for it rather than. Yeah. But that said, I'll definitely go for a walk around Sapienza. No murdering, just want to walk around.
Sapienza?
Just blend in.
Yeah.
What's Sapienza?
Yeah, maybe.
It's the second level in 2016.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I don't. I'm not a Hitman. I haven't played it that much.
It's basically just like a really beautiful sort of little town on the Amalfi Coast, and it's just really nicely done.
What about walking out on stage in Paris?
Oh shit, doing
That'd
a
be
fashion
interesting.
show! Oh my god!
Yeah. Walking out there, doing the catwalk.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, imagine if it just cut to the sort of third person camera and you could just do your arms like fucking dancing around on stage. I love that.
But no, I think this sounds really interesting. I mean, obviously I've been playing through Hitman 2016 at the moment, and the opportunity to try that in VR would be really interesting. So
yeah.
Let's hope
that
they
was a
nail it.
surprise announcement. Yeah, like they started a trailer. It's like, okay, Hitman 3, cool. And then when he went first person, it's like, what's this? And it said VR support. It's like, oh, that's a great secret announcement.
To be fair, it was only a CGI, wasn't it? We'll have to wait to see what it actually.
Yeah,
looks like.
I'm really interested, but I have massive concerns.
Yeah, I mean, well, how do you do the creeping around stuff if you're gonna have to teleport, aren't you?
Because sort of walking around in VR, like not many people have nailed that without making.
Well, no, you're not going to have to teleport. You can just. Why can't you just do? Use the dual shock and stuff? And
because a lot of people feel sick when you do that.
Yeah, but not everyone does, and there'll be various sort of what do you call it, comfort levels, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know, but okay, all right. Go on.
I didn't see this one coming. We're getting an anniversary edition of Braid.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
It was weird. But I'm really up for it.
When they started that trailer, I thought, oh my god, Braid 2, this is a big deal. And they were like, nah, it's Braid.
I mean,
I'm assuming there's way more to it than just bringing the game out again. I mean,
did you not see the trailer? So they've
So they've improved the graphics and everything.
Yeah. And they're putting a full developer commentary in as well, and it looks like incredibly extensive.
But I've got a feeling there's going to be way more secrets in there. Like, it's just the way
I know what he
works, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to have a load of hidden shit in there that people go, whoa, actually. Like, even if the reviews come out and say, yeah, no, it's a better looking version of Braid, I still think actually there's probably some really cool hidden stuff in there that people will find over time.
So obviously, so they're doing up the visuals a bit, but I still really like Braid. It seems to be sort of cool to shit on it now for some reason.
Really?
But, oh yeah.
Who's shitting on it?
Yeah, fucking everyone, mate.
Because it's Jonathan Blow, I guess.
Yeah, but I know. Look, I'm not a big fan of Jonathan Blow, but that game is fantastic. I don't know what can you shit on?
Have a listen to the Kane and Rince episode that I was supposed to be on. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
It turned out I was meant to be like the positive influence, and I couldn't make it in the end. Came off quite negative in the end. But
really, I will listen to that because I don't understand what you can be negative about. I mean, especially for the time, it was so interesting,
the writing, right? And even at the time, people were a bit like, the writing's a bit sort of juvenile in some ways. I had no problem with it, but then I'm not very clever. So,
we're reading these books, we're listening to that music that just drones on like in the background, and all this kind of watery, coloury visuals in my face, and it's just it does so many things to put me off playing it. For me, Super Mario is soft play, and Braid is a museum. And one time out of 10, I will enjoy going into a museum. Don't get me wrong. But when it reminds you of Mario so many times, it's like, oh, here's the flagpole, princess in another castle, and here's the Goomba, and here's a really sterile looking piranha plant, and here's all these things that you like in Mario. I just think, well, I'll just go and play Mario. Do you know what I mean? Like, Tim, get lost.
So yeah, it'd just be interesting to see if they make any other changes to it, or if it's just going to be visual stuff. It was interesting seeing, like, in the trailer when they show the sort of old versus new visuals, because I would have thought that was a game that, visually would not have aged a day anyway, because it was such a unique style at the time. But then looking at it, it's like, oh no, it's one of those where the new version looks like you remember the old one.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah. I like what they've done to it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. Is that coming? Is that exclusive, or is that coming to Xbox as well?
No, did they? I don't think they said.
I'd be surprised if it was exclusive. Well, would I? I don't know anymore.
It just says it's coming to PC and consoles, so one would
so it'd be Xbox then,
everything.
and
But
probably
I didn't play the
Switch.
original. Obviously, I heard loads of great things about. Yeah, it says here it will come out on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch, and PC.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's a Switch purchase then. Spelunky 2, which, I mean,
People were excited about this.
I'm fucking rubbish at Spelunky, but I'm well aware it's like one of the best games ever made. If you
you got into Spelunky, didn't you, Capone?
No.
Okay. I could have sworn you did, but maybe not.
Did anyone here into Spelunky?
No.
No. I mean, I tried it for a bit. I could see the appeal, but I didn't have the patience for it. I think I did a stream for it way back in the day when they gave it away free on PS.
I think I
Plus,
played a demo, and the demo wasn't. I don't think sold it very well. And I've since wanted to go back.
I mean, it's a game. Yeah, it's a game that you have to play repeatedly to sort of understand, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting screamed at for not loving Spelunky at the moment. So
look, I mean, I know that there's a lot of passion about that game, and you won't hear any of us saying it's bad, because it's just one of those that none of us got into. So it sits in the Assassin. Basically, what I'm saying is Spelunky is basically the same as Assassin's Creed.
It is.
Right, let's move on. How do they contact the show again? TCGS/dear
TCGS.
Dear TCGS. Right, okay, cool, fine.
Yeah, I mean, all of my sort of knowledge of Spelunky was mostly when I was listening to Idle Thumbs back in the day, and Chris Remo and everyone else.
Yeah, God.
Of it. And I saw like a fair few streams of it back in the day, just because they were so into it, but didn't play it, didn't really know anything about it. But this trailer I thought looked fantastic.
Michael Fox got into it, didn't he, on Joypod?
For sure.
He was all over that. I mean, it sounds like they had a lot of ideas to put into this. I just hope that those that are a big fan of that appreciate the changes that they made, because they seem really passionate about it, and I quite like that trailer. It was just the devs saying,
definitely got me excited. As someone who has no knowledge really of the first one, that sounds like a definite purchase.
And they've worked on it for ages, haven't they? It's been about 5 years, I think.
Yeah. It seems like it's been in not hell, but they've really put the work in.
I suppose they could afford
over a long time.
The first one's been such a huge success.
Yes, I would imagine so. I imagine quite a few of their work days were spent floating on a pool in their mansion. Okay.
So there was a trailer for the new Control expansion, which has got Alan Wake in it. Was this something we knew was coming, Matt? Because
Alan Wake was there's loads of stuff in the game that and it mentions Alan Wake. We obviously knew that there was a link between the Control universe and Alan Wake. So this is a massive surprise, but I think that they've actually since said, obviously it is the same universe, to try and do more to connect them. I mean, I absolutely loved Control when it came out. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
I do want to go back to it. I really do.
Yeah.
Maybe you play Alan Wake as your next stream game then, to see if you like it. It's funny, Alan Wake's a really weird one, because when that first come out, I remember the reviews being really sort of like, this ain't very good. And then I remember playing a demo, I think there was a demo, or someone had lent it to me or something. And I played it for about an hour and went, yeah, this really isn't very good. And then I just didn't think about it again. And then about 6-7 years later, everyone's going, fuck, Alan Wake, oh, what, I love that game. I was like, what? I thought everyone said that was shit
One of
and
those,
average.
isn't it?
Well, not shit, but just like very average.
It's just a bit of a cult hit that sort of took a little while to find its audience, I think, didn't it?
Right, okay.
I feel like
strange
it's one of the first games that had like random collectibles. Like you used to go.
No.
Well, you know what I mean, but like the orbs
No,
in Crackdown.
no, I don't.
But you went around
really?
collecting flasks for some reason. I just
Wasn't Crackdown out before Alan Wake?
I'm gonna check, but like, you carry on.
Go on, Sean.
Sean,
yes, then we got
you never played Control, did you? What was your history again with Control?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Played quite a bit of it. Found obviously very good. Found the atmosphere quite oppressive, but I do want to go back. I remember I really hated the map in it, but then didn't they sort of patch that?
Apparently, yeah. I mean, I think it launched. Yeah, the map. Everyone basically said it was just really hard to use and stuff. But I know it did make big changes.
Yeah. So I do fully intend to go back because I know again it's another one that. I mean, more so than Alan Wake, the reviews were probably more positive to begin with, but then it was just over time, there was just an increasing number of very smart people going like, holy fuck, Control is brilliant.
Yeah, I really want to play it. It's been on my want to play list for ages, but it's one of those. Assuming that it's coming out on Game Pass at some point, but the longer this goes on, the longer it feels like it's never going to come out on Game Pass, which is a shame. It is funny though because Alan Wake was one of the first games to have collectibles, in the same style as Crackdown, which come out 3 years before.
You were correct. So Alan Wake was 2010, Crackdown was 2007.
2007. So yeah, I mean it's amazing that Alan Wake beat Crackdown. Despite coming out 3 years after it, but that's fine. That is fine, that one. Okay, what was next?
So then there was a trailer revealing that Vader Immortal is coming to PSVR.
I was surprised it already wasn't, to be honest.
Well,
I just assumed it was.
Yeah, it seems like an obvious fit. Because we've played the first episode of this on the Quest, haven't we?
That's right.
And it's really good.
Yeah, look, if you like Star Wars and you got PSVR, then this is essential.
Yeah. 100%.
It's really good fun, and it's a great showpiece. Like people love it.
Yeah.
That was the game that I used to show off the Quest to people.
Yeah.
I would put that on and say, "Look, Star Wars," and then just the whole flying bit, and all of a sudden, I'm not going to ruin it, but something happens, and all that stuff people loved it. Like that was the first game I would show them.
I've got a Rift and still not played it.
Really?
Because when I
you
look
like
at the
Star
trailer,
Wars, do you?
Yeah. But when I look at the trailer, it kind of looks like it's just puzzle rooms.
What did you think of Rise of Skywalker?
I liked it.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I liked it too. No, it is. I mean, it does nothing that other VR games don't do. You've got the areas where you're waving your arms about to try and defeat something. You've got areas where you're doing these very, very basic puzzles. You've got areas where you're climbing and walking across things that are really high up in the sky. It's all your standard VR stuff. But the fact that it layers the Star Wars sort of thing over it makes it feel different, because it's more relatable. Like you're used to that universe in watching the films and stuff. So actually standing in it means a lot more. I mean, you've held swords and stuff a million times in VR games, but to hold a light sword is it just gives it that extra bit of, oh my god, look at what I'm doing.
How is the best VR implementation of a lightsaber just in this sort of relatively unheard of episodic story about I mean it's a bit of a shame that the trailer spoils the fact that you get lightsabers, because I actually didn't know if that was a thing when I first played this.
Come on, if you come on, you're playing a Star Wars VR game. You're gonna be waving a lightsaber.
So the trailer I saw for the first one before having played it, no lightsabers in it. So
Yeah,
I thought
I will say though, the implementation of the lightsaber in it is absolutely fantastic.
It is.
It you'd expect it to go swipe up to do an uppercut, swipe left to block, but it doesn't. It's kind of like, here's a robot, attack it, and you naturally hold the lightsaber to block its shots, and it works, and then you can attack it any way you want, really. So
and it has
it's
the training droids, the little balls that float around and shoot lasers at you. It's got those, and they're really fun to just ping the lasers back at them and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. As you say, if you've got PSVR and you like a bit of Star Wars, absolutely essential. So the next game we saw was Eon Must Die, which was like this incredibly stylized, really cool looking scrolling beat 'em up. But then pretty soon after the presentation ended, it turns out all the devs who've been working on it have been treated like shit by the CEO, and I think they
that
walked.
sounded horrible. They've all gone.
Yeah, absolutely horrendous situation. CEO just withholding payments, being abusive. So everyone kind of went, "Oh God, this game looks amazing," and then 5 minutes later, fuck that. Like, but obviously a huge shame, because obviously the stuff that we'd seen from those devs looked incredible. So I mean, God knows what's going to happen to it now if this.
How did they get away with this? How do they push forward from this? Because it's so public now.
Yeah.
And do we want them? I mean, if the answer to that is we get new people in to finish the game, do we really want to play that shit then? No,
Exactly.
not really.
Yeah.
So I mean, I suggest everyone goes and looks it all up. We're not going to go through all of the interviews and the and what people have said, ex-staff members have said about it. But certainly go and research that, because there's some shaky ground there.
And they've the devs have documented everything. There's just so many screenshots. There's Google Docs transcripts and everything. It's they've got so much dirt on this CEO. It's unreal. So after that we saw Hood Outlaws and Legends. So this is coming out on everything. So initially this looked a bit sort of Assassin's Creed co-op-ish, different characters with different classes and stuff, doing heists in a sort of medieval fantasy setting. But then at the end, the twist was it's also PvP. So it looks like you're sort of cooperating with your mates, but then there are other sort of heist crews also trying to get the same stuff, and then you come into combat with them, which looked really interesting. I thought I was quite up for this.
Yeah, I thought it looked quite good. I knew nothing about it. It is quite a stylish trailer.
Yeah, that's all right. Then we had the Pedestrian, which is a platformer, but where you're sort of running around on street signs and stuff that look quite cool.
So is this already out? You or James was saying in the chat, is this already out on PC or has been revealed ages ago?
Maybe then,
because I hadn't heard of it before, but people in the chat seemed to suggest that they already knew about it.
It was a known quantity. Fair
but
enough.
It kind of gave me Witness vibes of puzzles in a larger environment, but you're focusing on the puzzles. I wonder how they would potentially link in with the wider environment that you see yourself in.
Yeah, no, it looked cool. And then there was another Bug Snacks trailer, Dave.
Was there? Was there? I mean, I said to you at the time, Sean, I thought you were all very bitter about that. That was clearly an amazing call from me that Bug Snacks is actually a secret horror game. And they pretty much confirmed it, didn't they? They did, though, didn't they?
Go on.
What do you mean, go on?
Explain.
Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, show your work.
If it was a fun game about little bug snacks that you collect and turn into as you're eating them or whatever, they wouldn't have a scene where the main character falls off a ladder and smashes their head on a rock. That was actually horrible. I thought, wow. I mean, if you go through my thread that I put up on Twitter, you will notice that I've pointed out a few things. I've got a feeling they're going to fall into that trap. When was the last time in a game there's been this crazy paranoid character, and it turns out, oh no, they are just actually crazy and paranoid? And not that actually they're telling the truth. It's just, and this character, with a tinfoil hat on the table and everything, has this huge billboard with like things and clues and stuff, and you look through that stuff and you go, okay, something's going on here. There's a factory underneath a mountain. There's radio towers that seems to be. If I had a prediction at this stage, and it's not, don't. I'm not writing this in pen. It's in pencil, so I can rub it out if it's wrong. But I would say that maybe the bug snacks don't exist, and they're in the mind of the people living on that island.
Oh God!
And that hallucination is being put in there by the radio towers. And the character that you're going to see is behind it all. That's my initial prediction based on what I've seen so far. That's what I've seen so far.
Okay.
Also, that factory underneath the mountain, that's interesting. What are they making in that factory? Just, all I'm saying is just look at my thread, all right? Because I'm going somewhere with it. There's some interesting stuff in there. Interesting stuff.
Dave, do you think you're the only person that's thought of this concept of it being a horror game?
No, absolutely not. But I was one of the first.
Okay.
One of the
absolutely, 100%. I was one of the first.
I mean, we'll never be able to
your screenshot of your first.
Well, I did it on the show, didn't I? Early on the actual
that's
thing.
Not
I said
like
there's
something you can just put on a tweet and say, "Hey, I did it. I came up with this theory."
I didn't come up with the theory, but
so you
I certainly looked into it. I never said I was the first, did I? I would say a lot of what I was saying has come out to be true, Matt. All right. Why are you angry with me
No,
about
it's just
this?
the way you're like, hey everyone, a thing I had on my own, totally original thought, no one else.
I didn't say that, did I?
It's just the way your thread's like, guys, it's me. I'm the guy who had that theory.
No. My thread was, here's a bunch of things that I picked up on the trailer. That's what my thread said. When did I say, here's my original thought? Where's that come from? I mean, all of the things
how excited you are about it, as if you think no one else has figured it out.
No, well, to be fair, Sean, when I was saying it, how many other people were saying it? Where did you hear that theory before me?
I wasn't really bothered.
I don't know. You bring it up now. And I think it's all very bitter from you all. Okay. It's all very bitter. Right. I've been bang on about a lot of stuff recently. Remember when I said you could remove the little face plates from the little side plates from the PS5? That seems to be coming true, doesn't it? Mm. Again, not many people praised me on that show for that little nugget there, and certainly people weren't saying that back then.
Well, we didn't praise you on the show because James said it was too boring to put on the news.
Well, it was though. To be fair, it was a bit of a poor story, but
also a convenient excuse for James not to mention it.
But I think it was Matt that was vehemently against the idea that you'd be able to remove those things. It's part of the venting system, David. Hang
on. Like, I mean, okay, well, let's get into our story. Like, we've seen like shots of what looks like those things being replaced, or the ability to replace them.
Yep.
Like the idea isn't you take them off. The idea is that you get another one, you replace it with another one.
Yeah, well, that they're customizable.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. What's going to stop you running it without?
I mean, I'm sure you could, but you might find there might be some problems.
Well, if that's the case, then Sony certainly shouldn't make them removable. If they're essential to the venting system of the thing, they shouldn't make them removable.
Like, yeah, you can change them. Like, no, all we've seen is like a PS5 being manufactured. Every part of my Xbox One Series X is, One X is, removable.
I fully agree with that. I looked at those screenshots and I was saying, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually
you
removable.
You could take off the shiny part of the PS4, couldn't you? And you could replace that with other things. Like no one ever really did
the shiny part.
Yeah, like
the bit at the top. Yeah, the bit at the top. Yeah, but well, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying necessarily that proves that they're removable. What I'm saying is that it's fucking looking like it, Matt. It is looking like it.
I mean, are they removable? Yes, they're removable because it's components of a machine. They're removable. Are they going to suggest or say, yeah, you can just have it without them? I mean, yes, you can.
There's
a massive difference between you can take them off and run it without them, and you can replace them with different ones, right?
Exactly,
yeah. So here's a question, Matt. Then, do you think that you're going to be able to buy different color fins for that thing?
No.
Right.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I mean, basically, third parties can do whatever they want. So
Sony are not going to release their own.
Maybe. So will Sony do their own? No.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. All right, let's see. Okay, so that was Bug Snacks. Very bitter.
Any thoughts on Bug Snacks, Adam? Do you care for it at all, or are you interested in the conspiracy? Or
well, I think the main interest for me is that it's a follow-up to Octodad, and that had a lot of like fun. Even though it wasn't necessarily a great game, it had a lot of like weird creative parts to it. So I'm kind of looking forward to what those are in Bug Snacks. I think the stuff that Dave's talking about is the only interesting part of that game so far.
Sorry, just for Matt, it's not just me talking about that, so it's important to highlight that. Apparently, other people also
Dave's
think
acting
that.
like he was the only person in the world to think it's like, hang on, this might be.
No, I mean that's in your head, Matt. I've never suggested
the way I
that.
read your threads, like, guys, it's me, David Turner's. Perhaps you remember me from the person who came up with this theory no one else has. So here's the thread, everyone. Hold on to your dicks. Here we go. And then
I think. How did my thread start? Should I check?
Let's get on to the next one.
Is that going to embarrass you that I don't say, okay, here goes, Bug Snacks is a horror game thread. File on the desk reads, now where have I said that this is my original idea and I don't, where have I said that?
Well, it's just a tone. It's just
I just think, I think your tone's more telling than my tone. I think you're actually very bitter that I seem to be nailing quite a few things recently.
I'm not bitter, I'm just...
And it's getting to you. It's getting to you. I mean, we'll talk about Fall Guys.
It's possibly getting to me.
We'll talk about Fall Guys later. We'll talk about Fall Guys later.
This is like the talk with the cinema prices.
What do you mean, boring?
Like, it feels like last week kind of thing.
Okay, all right, go over it.
Let's just rush through a few. So there was Anno Mutationum, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Definitely not.
Looks like a cool sort of 2.5D action RPG. Cyberpunk thing ticks a lot of boxes for me. There was The Pathless, which is the new game from Giant Squid, who did Abzu. I mean, Abzu was very good, but very much like...
Oh, God, Pathless was the one with the worst voiceover I've ever seen in a gaming trailer.
What was wrong with the voiceover?
It was just really sort of like... It was... I don't know. If I remember correctly, it was really slow and there was no passion behind anything he was saying. And it was just like... In the Pathless, you can do this and and I was like, "Oh, mate, come on, just G it up a bit."
I don't really remember the voiceover, but I'm excited about this because so Giant Squid are there's a lot of that game company people there, and they made Abzu, which is very good, but it was Journey but underwater, right? Like so many things, like even the general sort of structure of it and stuff was so similar to Journey, whereas this looks like it's branching out a bit, and there's actually a bit of combat and it's sort of open worldish, and yeah, I think it looks really cool. This is coming to Apple Arcade, by the way, so if you don't fancy buying it, that's always an option. There was Genshin Impact, which I don't know, it looks like some anime stuff to me.
Yeah,
some very nice graphics. But yeah, don't know. Sorry, Ben, if you're listening. Then there was Auto Chess, which is coming to PS4 for some reason. I mean, this is another one. It's absolutely huge. I haven't even tried to play it. Any of you?
Yeah, I mean, Auto Chess people went nuts for, didn't they? About a year ago on PC. So I know it's a big deal, but I don't really know anything about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't really comment. But it's no surprise it's coming to console, really.
Yeah, I suppose. It feels like it's something to be much more suited to a handheld, but I don't know.
If I don't wanna be you. No, I don't know. Go
on. Temtem, which is the sort of Pokemon type affair that's currently on PC. It's coming to PS5.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's PS5 only. Seems unnecessary, but
they need that extra.
Well, yeah, maybe money's changed hands.
Yeah.
And then it ended with Godfall, which still looks
It looks like a launch game to me.
It does.
I was looking at that and thinking Rise. And I mean, it looks like it's more involved than Rise, don't get me wrong. But I did look at that and think, oh, this will show the tech well enough. But I think people will buy it and go, it's not great. I mean, it looks great, but it's not great. But, maybe that's unfair because there did seem to be way more mechanics involved with that game than I expected for, say, a launch action game. Who knows? That is out at launch, right? That's not pushed to next year, is it?
It says PC and
it's out
PS5
this year on PC and PS5
this year. So it'll be a launch game. Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those where I think it looks pretty cool, but it's tickling the same part of my brain that enjoyed Too Human. So maybe technically take that with a pinch of salt.
On your own.
Yeah, as I said earlier, like the previous trailer was just so generic and it's just rubbish. But I thought this was a much, much better showing. And I was like, okay, this actually looks like it could be quite fun. Like as you said, Dave, like really, like what seems like a relatively complex combat model. It looked quite fun. Not my type of game at all, so I doubt I'll get it. But it was a way better showing than it was previously.
This is also
they spent a long time with it on the end
as well.
Yeah. PS5 and PC. So it looked good as well.
Yeah. So that was that. I mean, I was expecting nothing from that presentation, but I thought that was pretty good.
I was really impressed. Yeah, I mean, considering we were just no PS5 news, PS4 stuff, some stuff we've seen before. Yeah, it was way better. I mean, but they obviously lowered expectations, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, that helps.
And yeah, I was happy with it in the end.
Yeah. I was happy with the Bug Snacks showing. That was about it.
So overall, Dave, would you say you were disappointed in that?
No, I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I wouldn't say I was pleasantly surprised or excited by anything. It was, there was nothing there that I looked at and thought, oh god, yeah, this looks great, other than Bug Snacks. So, yeah, that's where I sat with it.
Capone's funny telephone prank calls.
Hello, thanks for calling GameStop inside Mall, where you can get a bonus 50% on all your game trades. This is Ryan. How can I help you?
Oh, hello, Ryan. Do you have a PlayStation 5 that I can buy?
No, it's not out yet.
Oh, okay. Cheers, bye. Capone's funny telephone prank calls.
Cool. Right, another few quick ones. So Apple have basically blocked Project xCloud on iOS, or rather they've said that every title on it has to go through. So basically it has to go through the same certification as every app, right? Which is just logistically ridiculous. And this presumably is just Apple,
essentially
trying to block it, right? Which is ridiculous.
Is what we like to call a dick move.
It is. Anti-consumer. That's what it is.
It really is. It sucks.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, do you want to talk about this? Because you're considering jumping the fence over this, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, this will be. I mean, for the first time properly, I'm like, well, if xCloud just basically isn't going to happen on iOS, then I'd make serious think about if I want to get another iPhone, because obviously I've been iOS from day one. I tried like sort of budget Android devices, which I know isn't really fair to compare, because obviously a budget Android device is one thing, and like a sort of Samsung sort of Galaxy devices sound completely different. But I tried it, and it wasn't a huge fan. Obviously back in the day in Android, it was there wasn't any app parity, but obviously now it's pretty much all the same. But I mean, Stadia isn't a thing on iOS because you can't buy the games, I think, through the Stadia app on iOS. So it's not just an xCloud thing. It's just this is just how they're dealing with game streaming. You can, like some people are saying, well, how can you do? There's like remote play. Well, remote play and other sort of remote play apps where you connect to a specific machine are different, and they allow those through. But it's ones where you're able to play tons of games through a particular service that they say goes against their terms and conditions. And that if xCloud isn't going to be a thing, I mean, I've said on previous shows, I'm still trying to work out if xCloud is even a thing that would even like fit within my lifestyle. Like I drive to and from work, I'm working in the day, and I come home and I've got a console or Switch and stuff in the evening. So I'm still trying to work out whether xCloud's really like a thing that I'm like, this would change the game for me. But having said that,
I'm
I
not
still
so
want
sure
the
either.
option of trying it. And if it, I mean, I was part of like the beta for xCloud and iOS, and the Android beta had loads of games. I can't remember how many, but tons of games went on for ages. On the iOS beta, they could only put Halo Master Chief Collection on. And then that actually expired the other day.
Oh, really?
It expired because I guess Microsoft couldn't renew it because Apple weren't going to approve the app. So that just stopped working. And also like the limit, I think the limit is like 10,000 like betas or beta users rather than, way more on Android because again, Apple have their own sort of rules and regulations regarding how many people can actually beta test a product. And all this just makes you think, well, maybe I should look at Samsung next. I've been looking at I think there's been loads of officially licensed Xbox controllers or things you can do to connect your phone to I think it's like the Razer Kishi looks like the best one so far, where you basically essentially it's two parts of a pad. You pull it apart, it's got like an elastic bit in the middle. You snap your phone in there, and basically it looks like a Switch. And that could be really, really good way to play it. If I think of it not as I could play this on the train to and from work, but actually I could play it on my couch like a Switch, but with all my Xbox games with achievements and save progress and stuff in the cloud, then maybe that is how I use xCloud, not on the move, but actually just at home, but away from the console, not on the TV.
Yeah, because I've been looking at the controllers as well. Yeah, as I say, there's the Razer Kishi seems to be, that's certainly Microsoft's flagship one, isn't it? They're actually doing an Xbox branded version of it. And then there's also Samsung, it's called is it Galp? I think it's Galp. It's weird.
What an awful name for a product.
Yeah.
Galp.
I think, I'm going to Google it now because I feel like...
What is that a pad you can get free if you buy Galaxy at the moment?
Sorry, Glap. That was it, Glap.
Glap.
It's been out for a while, and I don't think it was originally by Samsung. I think they've just sort of adopted it as the one they like the most. But those two are sort of 80 quid, right? and it's one of these situations.
Sorry,
where
that's my. Amber, can you?
You alright? What's going on over there?
Amber, can you not? I'm doing a podcast. Okay, thanks. Okay, continue.
Unbelievable.
That was a bit rude. Say sorry.
I mean,
I didn't mean to be rude.
It's only him that it.
I didn't mean to be rude.
Is that Graham? Is that Graham?
Nah, that's Amber.
Okay, fine. Go on.
Yeah, but obviously it's one of these situations where, you've got these definitely
Just
good
saved
ones.
his relationship.
It's definitely good ones for sort of 80-ish quid, and then there's loads for 30 quid, but they're all brands you've never heard of, and they could be total shit. So I don't know what to do. It feels like a lot of money to spend on a controller for my phone, but then I was saying to Matt,
You're gonna want one though, aren't you?
Yeah, and I was saying to Matt,
you want a
because I've been
dedicated
looking
pad
at
for it.
getting a retro handheld console, emulators on it and stuff, and if I just got one of these for my phone, that would, that's that box ticked without having to get a new device.
The Razer Kishi does look great, and it's got the Xbox button on it. It's you just plug your phone in. It's also got a USB-C a pass-through, so you can charge. You can basically have it charging whilst you're playing. And rather than just having a pad and then clipping your phone to the front of the pad, this feels like a sort of all-in-one device. But yeah, I've seriously been looking at, okay, well, if I wanted to get the new Samsung Galaxy Note or whatever
What did you do about your watch?
Well, yeah, I've got...
No,
I mean, it probably
you need an iPhone for an
I've
Apple
got
Watch.
a day one Apple Watch, and it's 5 years old as it is, so it's on its last legs.
There's some great Android watches out there as well, to be fair.
That's the thing. It's I use a Mac for work, and I've got Apple TV. I've got I don't really want to move, but this is sort of making me think. Well, maybe I bloody will, because I don't want to be limited. That's why I've always been on iOS, because I feel when say hot new apps come out or new games come out, generally they would launch on iOS. I'm I don't want to be missing out on stuff 6 months later on Android. It's
going to be so weird when you turn up with your Dell PC and your Samsung phone and your Galaxy Buds. It's just going to be a new map.
Bill Gates t-shirt. What I will say is, so as a
micro
sort of Android and PC guy who also owns an iPad, having one foot in each really isn't that bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad either, to be honest with you. I mean, you know that I've been tempted for God knows how many years, but James always manages to put me off. He always manages to put me off, Sean.
But James is so... I'm going to say this while he's not here, so we can't argue. James always, he'll slag Apple off until I criticise him. And then it's like, I didn't say that. That's not true.
Yeah. It's like people that live in London. We moan about London all the way through the day, and then if someone goes London shit, you go, no, it ain't the best city in the world, mate. It's the same thing. But yeah, no.
I mean, do I think it's going to change? I think it will at some point. I think either Apple will buckle, but that could be years down the line, or Microsoft will just think, fuck it, we'll pay the money, whatever it is, because they can't really afford to not have a billion iOS apps, devices part of this. I mean, I'm sure there are more Android devices than iOS devices, but there's 44%
big market.
Of the, smartphone market is iOS. They can't afford to launch a product and not have this. It's just insane. So someone's going to change. Either Microsoft will just throw money at it, or Apple will have to change their policy. I mean, I've seen loads of people kicking off about it. It's not just people in this Twitter sphere, but people, proper Apple commentators who deal with it every day, and loads of tech people and people like The Verge and other websites like that. It's not just some small, population of gamers kicking off about it and hoping to make a difference. Lots of people are making, statements about it and annoyed by it. Apple have had to make statements a couple of times in the last week to clarify their position on it. I hope it changes, but we come up to
the only way Apple are going to change is if you see a massive downturn in iPhones being sold, and there is no way that this is going to have that effect.
No, it's not. No, definitely not.
So yeah, I think it'll be Microsoft.
We're coming to a new iPhone season. I mean, it's been delayed to October this year, but this is time of year where new phones will be out soon. And I'm like, don't know. This honestly, for the first time, makes me think twice. Maybe I will get bloody Android device, because this just sucks. It's bad for everyone. But
it's especially frustrating because I've just started properly using the iPad to stream. With Steam Link, so streaming stuff from my PC, and it's proper good. I'm really enjoying using it. And now it's but I'll never be able to do that with xCloud by the looks of it. It's a shame.
Yeah. Shame. All right.
Hopefully something is fixed, but I don't know if Apple. I mean, Apple are less likely to change their policies than Microsoft throwing loads of money at it, but something will change because something needs to. But who knows what and when?
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Go on, next
two
story.
actually definitely quick ones. So Rocksteady have tweeted teasing that yes, they are doing a Suicide Squad game, which I believe was rumored. But yeah, so there's
it's been an open secret for ages.
I thought they were working on the Harry Potter game. What happened to that?
Where did that come from?
Maybe that got canned because of all of the.
That's true. No.
It's not the brand it used to be, is it?
But yeah,
horrible little woman. Sorry, just a nasty piece of work.
Yeah, 100%. So this is going to be presumably revealed properly at the DC Fandome on the 22nd of August. But basically, there's a teaser image of the Suicide Squad logo, which looks like a crosshairs over Superman's head, which of course it's a good idea, because obviously the problem with DC games, right, is that if you're playing as the heroes and Superman's involved, it's like, well, you can fucking turn your head into mist by punching it. He's so stupidly overpowered. That's why everyone sort of talks about it. He's the most boring superhero because you can fucking do everything. So where's the interest in that? The interest is you play as because there are storylines where he's sort of gone rogue, right? You can get, I think if he goes near Red Kryptonite, it drives him a bit mental. And he, so do a game where you are some bad guys who've been tasked with bringing a sort of bad Superman down. Brilliant.
Kryptonite bullets.
Just do Batman.
Kryptonite
you play
sword.
as Batman, and there's 100 Superman.
Good idea.
Level, and you have to find ways to take them down one by one.
Yeah.
And it will be called Battle Royale, but the being
Batman Royale. Batman Royale. Yeah, definitely. All I know about Suicide Squad is that people hated that film.
There is that.
That's the long and short of it. So when I saw
this is what'll be interesting as well, because obviously Rocksteady, they sort of swooped in and made superhero games good with Arkham Asylum. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this is this will probably end up
They did that with a popular franchise. Are they going to be able to do it with a less popular? Well, I mean that's not fair. I assume that the comics that they're based on are really good, right? And that's how it got a film.
There's also going to be a new one. I think the director who did the original, James Gunn, I think, is rebooting Suicide Squad. It's called Suicide Squad, and that's out, I guess, next year.
And apparently, Birds of Prey was really good as well.
I heard good things about that actually. Yeah,
but yeah.
This has been like an open secret for ages. It's great. It's been revealed. I wonder how much we're going to see. Because obviously
they could show the full game. I think from start to finish, speed run.
Obviously, Rocksteady were, there's that Court of Owls tease, which they were teasing like over a year ago on Twitter feeds and stuff for the new Batman game, or we think is a new Batman game. Hopefully, we'll see that as well at DC Fandom.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Last one. Yoshinori Ono has left Capcom after nearly 30 years. So he's been the producer on Street Fighter for a long time now. And even as someone who really can't be arsed with fighting games in general and the culture around them, he's always seemed really sound and personable and likable. And I've seen interviews with him where he just talks so lovingly about fighting games and how it was like his mission to make Street Fighter like a household thing, to the extent that it's like he was like, I want kids to be like, shit, someone's got to do the washing up, right? I'll best of 3 rounds on Street Fighter to see who's got to do it. He just always had a really cool vision for how fighting games should be perceived. And he's buggered off. He hasn't said why.
What's the state of Street Fighter at the moment? Do you know? Because I know the last release it didn't go down well, did it?
I think but I can't remember if that was a mechanics thing or just an implementation thing. I know that
did they fix it?
It's that eternal issue, isn't it? Ultimately, if you're playing a game where literally every frame counts, any latency is a problem. So that seems like an unsolvable problem.
But there was other issues, wasn't there? Something about characters not being ready and
possibly, yeah. Didn't they sort of drip fed characters into it? Possibly, I can't remember now.
Yeah. So, another blind spot for us there.
So yeah, he says, I've been with the Street Fighter brand for a long time, experiencing good times, bad times, and even non-existent times. I don't know what that means. My heart is filled with appreciation to those players who've been giving warm and kind support on the brand, especially over the past decade or so, as all the activities on the Street Fighter brand regained sunshine and grew its liveliness. I mean, he's not wrong. I think it's been a better time to be into fighting games the last sort of 5-10 years than it has been
for sure.
A long while. So it's fair dues. I don't know what he's going on to do. As I say, it doesn't actually say why he's going.
Well, it's none of your fucking business, Sean, is it?
Well, no.
Charlie doesn't like slow motion. He freaks out.
What?
Which is a shame, because I was going to sit in front of Max Payne.
Yeah. Matrix.
And now I can't do that. Yeah, it's such a shame. But yeah, no, he freaks out about slow motion on telly.
No way.
I don't know if it's the visual thing.
So this was a clip from a previous episode of TCGS. And I really liked it. It's probably my favourite part of that episode. So I'm just going to break it down. Let's play the clip again.
Charlie doesn't like slow motion. He freaks out.
What?
Which is a shame, because I was going to sit in front of Max Payne.
Now, that's a good joke, and I feel that's underappreciated by the other people on the show. That it's a very clever joke. But then, if you continue listening, Sean attempts to raise the game. He plays his card, which he feels is stronger, which is the Matrix, which isn't the case at all. Max Payne is a funnier punchline to the joke that Dave was going for.
Yeah, Matrix.
Now I can't do that. Yeah, it's such a shame.
Now, I think James didn't hear Sean say the Matrix, and so that he later on kind of thinks, oh, Matrix, and then he pipes up with Matrix, even though it's already been said.
But yeah, no, freaks
The
out
Matrix.
about slow motion on telly.
No way.
I don't know if it's the visual thing.
And it just gets ignored. No one responds to him.
Charlie doesn't like slow motion. Like, he freaks out.
What?
Which is a shame, because I was going to sit in front of Max Payne.
Yeah.
And now I can't do that. Yeah, it's such a shame. But yeah, no, he freaks
The
out
Matrix.
about slow motion on telly.
No way.
I don't know if it's the visual thing.
The Matrix. The Matrix. The Matrix. The Matrix. The Matrix. The Matrix.
So yeah, I just thought that was really funny.
Do whatever he wants, mate.
I mean, right, is that it for the news?
Mercifully, that is it for the news, yes.
Cool. All right, let's get on to what we've been playing. And should we start with Fall Guys?
Yeah.
Big release this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been following this game for a long time. And I was a little bit concerned because you played it at beta stage, right, Sean?
Yeah.
And you said it was a bit of a mess and
yeah,
it wasn't actually that good.
Yeah, technically. I mean, obviously, it was a technical beta, so I was, fine.
Are you talking like a week ago, beta, or before that?
No, it was before that. It was about 2 months ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it was like pretty much unplayable, like just constant disconnections and stuff. So I couldn't really get a feel for it. But
so
yeah.
then they announced that it was coming out for PS Plus quite shortly before release, right? It was about a week or so before release that they announced it was coming to PS Plus, which was great because, I've had no reason to... I mean, I thought I was going to have to buy the game and then buy PS Plus on top of it because I didn't have that. But it turns out, no, it came free. So I signed up for a month. And, I mean, I'm finding the reaction to it really interesting because I can totally see why it's blown up. It was announced today that it sold 2 million copies on Steam. It's very popular on Twitch. The marketing behind that game has been absolutely fantastic, and I only know this because they were talking about it on the Special Moves podcast, where they were saying that apparently content creators were given a free copy of the game, obviously, but also given 59 codes to give away on their streams. So it was quite easy to get a code for Steam just by watching your favourite streamers, which obviously meant that people streaming this, loads of people were watching in a hope to get a free copy of the game, and that sort of spread like wildfire on those services. So that totally makes sense. And then, of course, sticking it on PS Plus, everyone's downloading it, and because they've seen it on Twitch and playing it, and unfortunately that means that it's been an absolutely shocking launch for them. I mean, not just in terms of server maintenance and stuff, which has been pretty relentless since the game had come out, but some of the bugs in the game are the worst that I've seen for a long time. I've had to reboot this game more than I have pretty much any game I've ever played on one of these consoles. There's that glitch where it plays the music twice in the menus. There's times where it just freezes and you've got to close it down and reopen it and stuff. What other game was like that? No Man's Sky was like that when it first came out, didn't it?
Yeah. But then obviously,
now don't get me wrong.
I'm not defending No Man's Sky, but obviously there was a lot of but it's so ambitious that you can see why.
Also, it has the best frogs in the world ever.
I can see this is quite ambitious too in different ways though, right?
Well, yeah, I mean the online play is in there from day one, so it's got that over No Man's Sky, hasn't it?
Well, you've got the online play, but you've also got 60 players playing at once, all in real time. If you've not seen Fall Guys, I'll be blown away if you haven't. It's essentially a battle royale game where you play these mini games that largely focus on it's a knockout style challenges, races where you have to avoid obstacles to get to the end before everyone else. If you finish low down on that list, then you get knocked out and you have to start over again. There are various different mini games. Some of them are team based, where it's like a football match and you've got to push a ball into a goal. There are everyone's got there's a bunch of people in sort of a play area, and some of them have got tails, and you have to steal a tail off someone and run off. And then if you've got a tail on you by the time the timer runs out, then you get through to the next round. Stuff like that, little Mario Party style mini games. And do you know what? I've seen a lot of criticisms about it not having legs. There's too much luck involved. This, that, and the other. And I agree. Like, I do see that, but I'm having so much fun with it. Like, I do see people saying, I can't see me playing this after a few weeks of play. Yeah, I don't think I can either. But at the same time, I've hammered it all week and I'm loving every second of it. I'm finding it so fun that I think it's absolutely fantastic. Sean, you've probably played it the second most out of, well, at least the main cast of this podcast, right?
Yeah. So yeah, initially didn't get it. I was like, it's fine, I guess. I really don't see what the fuss is about. And then I think it's probably when I streamed it with you, Dave, that I was like, it really started to click. I think my problem is, so the first round that you do every time you play, is just like an assault course where you run to the end, and they're pretty good fun, but once you've done them a few times, I find they get a bit stale. And obviously, the fact that you have to do one at the start of every game, they wear a bit.
Yeah,
they
but
wear a bit thin
it's
for
nice
me,
to.
but-
Yeah, I mean, you like, I'm at a point where I never fail those first ones, but it's still kind of fun to just jump through the all of the characters and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, they're fine. I think it's just I just prefer the later ones so much more because there's so much more interaction with the other players and there's so much more scope for actually
and
fucking other
tactics
people
and
up
stuff. Yeah, for sure. I will say this though. I mean, if you're looking at this in terms of a battle royale, I would much rather do those initial levels of this than land. Go and find some
running
loot,
around trying to pick up.
Run to another building. I'd much rather be doing this.
Yeah.
So,
what's been really cool. So I played it with you, and then really enjoyed it. And then Isaac keeps asking me to put it on as well. Like he really enjoys watching it.
Harry's obsessed with it.
Yeah, like Isaac will like insist that he wants to play it, and then he'll hold the control for like 3 seconds. Like, I can't do it. You do it, Daddy. I'm like, all right, fine. And then got like 2 crowns in one session playing it with Isaac, and I was like, yeah.
Oh, what were your final game modes?
So there's one. I think were they both the ones where you had to jump and grab the crown? I think they were.
Okay, because there's several different final ones.
Yeah.
There's the hexagon one, which I really struggle with, but I managed to get a crown on. And there's another. There's a towel battle one.
Yeah, I'm also bad at the hexagon one, but it's very good, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, the tactics involved with that as well. Yeah. People were saying to me, no, Dave, you need to jump from space to space because it's slower. And I'm like, yeah, but the more time I'm on this layer, the less, the more that's being taken out of the layer below. So I'm more likely to drop a few layers straight, close to the bottom if I'm doing that. So I'd rather get my feet on that last layer so I can, just see how much space I've got to run into, and hopefully a few people drop straight through the gaps and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of mind games going on, definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting because it sort of rides this line, doesn't it, between it's just a bit of silly fun, but then occasionally you have these little moments where you're like, hang on, no, I get this. This is, I'll see you at Evo next year. Like this is a really good tournament game.
You feel like you've worked stuff out, but there's also that because in terms of battle royale, there's, comparatively speaking, there's not a lot of tension in there, because if you're out, you press a button, you're straight back into a new round, a new game, unless the servers go down. Rounds from start to finish last about 15 to 20 minutes, and that's if you get through to the final. If you're out in the first or second round, then it's fine. You're straight back to the main menu, you press X again, and then you're straight into a new game. That side of things is it sort of drops the tension a bit.
Yeah.
But there are moments, as you say, where it's kind of like, oh, hello, what's going on here? There was the one where you have to go up the travelator and avoid the fruit. For me, on my run that I did on stream, and I got through as the last one that qualified, and my heart was pounding as I was running up that treadmill. I was kind of like, oh my god! And then of course, when you do that crown run at the end, that specific one, there's a moment where you're standing in front of the crown waiting for it to lower, but there's also someone on the other side waiting as well, and it's like a game of chicken who's going to go for it first. And, as we said, a lot of it is down to luck. Like, especially with the team games, you might just be put onto a rubbish team. Or,
oh, God, I've had that before. It's so frustrating. Like,
I'm sure people on your team was thinking that as well,
outside.
It'll be interesting to see if it splits off, right? The player base. Like, do they start... Because I think it's now very clear, especially with the success of it, that there's going to be a lot happening with this game going forward, right? There's definitely
hopefully, you'd hope there'd be a lot more mini games introduced.
Yeah, so
they will.
It'd be interesting to see if it splits between people who just want to have fun and people who are playing it super competitively, because I think those people will exist, and it'll be worth catering to them.
God, it would be good to see like a pro. A pro competitive thing, but then at the same time, how do you be pro about the tile walking one?
Well, that's what I mean. So
there's a bunch of tiles.
Maybe there'll be a different play mode where like some of those events just aren't in it, and it's all the sort of the ones where you can actually do a bit of coordination and a bit of planning. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Capone, have you played this?
Yeah, I think I've come up with like a equation and tell me how wrong I am. But
okay, fine.
Like, I feel like it's 70% skill, 30% luck.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit more luck. Like, in terms of you're probably right in terms of individual game modes, but overall to make it through to the final, I think you are required a little bit more luck than that. Certainly in the earlier modes, like there's a lot of skill involved, especially with jumping over things and so it depends on the game mode, doesn't it? I mean, you look at things like the tail grab. Sometimes that feels like you've got to just be very lucky and just grab it towards the end.
Right place, right time for that.
Yeah. And again, that fucking egg one. Is it me, or are they tweaking how often you see certain games in it?
It does feel that way, doesn't it?
When I the first few times I played this, that egg one was always in there. And then suddenly it was like, I thought after they brought the servers back up, we would never see it again, because I thought, I've not seen the egg one for ages. Maybe that's the one where you're split into 3 teams, there's loads of eggs in the middle, you grab them and you put them into your basket, but you can nick eggs from other people's basket, and there are golden eggs that are worth more points and stuff like that. I thought they'd removed it because that's what was screwing up the servers so much. But then I played it the other night and I was like, okay, no, it is still in rotation. I just haven't played it.
I see it a lot.
This game has really good community, I find, and I think don't know what that noise is. Can you hear it?
Sounds like it sounds like someone's scratching their plate, like
a penny farthing.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say, like,
Amber, what's that?
It's an old Victorian guy.
Tweed soup cycling.
She's doing. It's what?
Is he sharpening knives?
I hope not. So I forgot what I was going to say now.
30% luck, 70% skill.
And I was saying that it's got a really good community, and I think over time they will be able to tweak like what the type of games that you're playing. I mean, I would imagine they would eventually spill off into modes. So they have like Team Cup and then Solo Cup. Because I think the mixture of both Solo and Team is a bit... That feels like you could just be unlucky and get like a... like you've mentioned. But
I think that's in the spirit of it though, right? I don't think it sets out to be some sort of big... a pro gaming scene. I never get the feeling that it's trying to do that.
Because if it was like, it can't ever be like a Fortnite, so to speak, can it? 'Cause if it's got any luck dependence, then it's always going to be a more casual, like fun thing, but not like a competitive experience.
And I suppose the question we have to ask is, do all games need to have that?
No.
You know, that seems to be a place that people go to often. And, you know, we discussed it shortly in the week, Sean, about how the main criticisms that I've seen about it have been, it's fun, but like it's going to be very short lived. You know, it's not got the legs to go on for a long time. You know, and I just kind of think, well, I'm not sure 100% agree with that. I think if they update it on a regular basis, once they get the servers sort of more stable, then this could be something that you just constantly keep on your hard drive and you have a quick go at every now and then because it's a laugh. But also, like, what if it doesn't? Who cares? It seems to have made a lot of money for them already, so that's fine for them. It's, you know, people are enjoying it for now. Not every game needs to be 100 hours worth of gameplay to justify its existence.
Yeah, I think it was, for me, it was the fact that, like, yeah, so first loading it up, absolutely fine. So what if I only play it for a few weeks? Well, you know, absolutely no problem with that. And then it was just looking at the menus and being like, oh, there's microtransactions for costumes and stuff, and like a battle pass style, you know, track for unlocking stuff. And it was like, oh, is that what this is? And then playing it for a bit and thinking, no, this probably will, like for me, probably will just be like a, you know, 3 to 4 week thing. But then seeing how insanely well it's done, they'd be, you know, fools not to support it. So they've got.
It does give you a lot of free stuff as well, based on in-game currency. Like I never feel like there is. You could buy currency in the game, but it dishes it out. So there's 2 currencies. There's crowns, which you unlock by either winning modes or getting to certain XP levels. But there's also kudos coins, which it chucks at you. Like I've got so many of them that I could just buy everything in the store if I wanted. The one thing I don't get, it says there's a battle pass, right? But is there?
So yeah, so it's not like a paid for battle pass. It's
just got that progressive stuff. Yeah,
the way it's sort of presented looks like,
because it says season 1 on it.
Yeah,
so you assume that there's a season.
It's basically it's a battle pass style thing. It's a free track. Yeah.
That's the only thing that I worry about, because if a season is like if a season's like a month and a half or 2 months long, I can't see them adding new game modes until the new season comes out.
Oh yeah,
no, I don't think they will either.
And that's a long time to hope that people are going to be happy with the current roster of mini games.
Maybe.
You know, and is it going to be here's a new season and 1 new game mode? You know, they really need to churn the content out now, don't they?
Yeah.
If they want to build that sort of that sort of player base. I mean, I still think there'll be people playing it regardless, but if they want to build a player base that's going to be hammering this game, then they need to start churning the content out for sure.
Yeah, I wonder what their original ideas with it, because I think even in their wildest dreams, I couldn't have imagined they would have sold like 2 million over the course of a week.
No, I reckon it's been a big shock to them, and you know, they've got a lot of work to do as well. I mean, as someone that really likes the game, not having inverted camera controls is just an absolute mind-blowing sin.
They haven't done that.
It's awful. It's a terrible. I don't know why that's happened, but you know, whatever. I'm getting through it. It's not one that where you have to look up and down with the camera too often. Anyway, is it really? Certain game modes you do need that, but it's not. I've not found it too much of a problem. I mean, I've smashed the crowns all week, so I'm not. Clearly, I'm all right with that.
Yeah. But no, I'm. Yeah. So as I say, having gone through this sort of like, oh God, do they really think this is going to be a long running thing, to like, oh no, absolutely, it totally could be.
Yeah.
And I am excited to see sort of where they go with it. And as you say, like it's fascinating, because if they hadn't really thought this was going to be as big as it was, like for a sort of relatively smaller studio to put something like this out and then be like, oh shit, this could actually bankroll us for the next 2-3 years, you know.
Yeah.
It must be a weird sensation, and sort of figuring out how to sort of instantly capitalize on that. Because like the server stuff, I still have no idea how this stuff works, right? If you've put out a game and the servers aren't coping, and it's not a coding issue, it's just a capacity issue.
Yeah, it's about buying enough, I think.
Exactly. Like, how do you? I don't understand what the process is, do you just phone up a server farm and go, hello, 20 more computers, please? But, like, I have no idea what that process is like.
I think they log in and they say, upgrade package. Okay, 15 quid a month. Yeah, we'll go 20 quid a month.
Yeah, get the
what
pro
does that get us?
subscription.
Okay, we go 25.
Yeah.
2 million sales. We go £29 a month.
Because like as a total idiot, I sort of assume someone's figured out a system where this is sort of quite scalable, right? And that you do just say, look, those 5 servers we've got, can you put our shit on another 5 or whatever? If someone hasn't figured that out, then that sort of needs doing. Or there's probably tons of technical reasons why they haven't.
Yeah.
Anyway, point is, it's fucking difficult, I imagine, to sort of fix these things.
Yes. Yeah, and it's difficult to predict as well, because you spend a lot of money on servers and no one actually plays the thing, then
it's wasted money.
You're in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you see those download figures, especially on Steam, then you do kind of go, okay, right, I get it now. They're a small team and everything. I mean, you'd expect Sony to be helping them out as well.
You think so?
Because obviously it's
what a success
a PS Plus game. And
yeah. I mean, like you say, those Steam sales numbers, like we were saying, like I'd thought, like obviously loads of noise around it. I'd assumed it was 90% because it was on PlayStation Plus, but then they've confirmed over 2 million sales on Steam. So yeah, fair play.
This is the first time that I've registered for PSN Plus in about 2 years, so
Really?
they're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same for me.
I re-upped it for the first time. It must be about 2 years as well myself.
How much you put in, Matt?
I just did like a month's trial.
Yeah, same here. I didn't have the confidence to go for more than that. I'll probably buy another one.
Sort of £30 deals flying around, but at the moment there's still 40. But if there's a £40 one, I'm still playing this in like 2.5 weeks time, then maybe I'll just do it. I mean, I guess I can get my money's worth over the course of the year, but because I don't really play online with my PS4, I've never needed to. And I've also seen the PS Plus games generally. I haven't thought, well, I should probably get PS Plus for that. But this is obviously
I mean, my biggest fear is turning around to Harry and saying we can't play Fall Guys anymore. So maybe that's going to guilt me because he's been obsessed with it. He's been playing it. He's been getting through to finals, Sean. He's not won a crown yet, but he's been getting through to finals. It's really funny when because we play a lot together and watch each other play. Whenever the fruit one where you have to pick the random fruit that comes up and then the rest of them disappear, whenever that one comes up, Harry just goes, Dad, look, when you get to this one, just give the pad to me. I'm like, well, you are better at it than I am. He never loses that one, and I lose that constantly. The only other thing to say about this game, I don't know if you caught Matt's stream last night, but again, the bitterness is coming through. Yeah. People were saying, when you started your stream, I assume you'd put David winning the crown on stream in the highlights reel. And Matt said he will never put that in the highlights reel. And then continue to slag me off throughout the stream. It was very strange, Matt. What was going on there?
Doing that. I mean, I wasn't going to suddenly edit your crown win in the video. I wasn't going to suddenly do that. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Because am I going to just keep editing videos when something half good happens? No,
that wasn't half good. That was a fantastic
I'll wait
moment.
until something properly good happens, or there's a big old collection of them.
I mean, do you know what we could edit in? We could edit in the time we got raided by Zafar Cakes and it went really well. Oh no, wait. That didn't happen, did it, Dave?
We absolutely need to talk about the raids of the last week. It's been
okay, right. So Zaffa Cakes is a very funny comedian that has done what I can only describe as the best thing I've seen on Twitch in ages. With his Pez, what does he actually call the thing? I know it's Pez United, but what has he got like a?
It doesn't really have a name, which is
okay. Well, so he's playing Pro Evolution Soccer 5 and acting as the manager, and he's set up scenes and different settings, and it's just incredible. You've got to just look for Zaffa Cakes on YouTube, watch some highlight stuff, and then go check him out on Twitch. It's so funny. He tried to raid us, didn't he, Sean? But you hadn't set up the notifications, right?
Yeah. So when Dave and I were streaming it, someone came up in the chat. Someone called the Furious Five. It's like, guys, does Bilal Zafar follow you? And we were like, no, don't think so. And I sort of said, well, I know, like, a friend of the show, Cammy Toman, knows him. Like, maybe he's heard of us through that. I don't know. Thought nothing more of it. And then, went back and watched his stream. And what he does is when he's picking who to raid, he'll sort of listen in on the stream and sort of plays it on his stream. And then he follows them. And if they react and go, oh my God, Zaffcakes has just followed us, he'll give him a raid. But we, brilliantly, our little sort of, little notifications thing on our streams. For some reason, I didn't have follows checked, which is fucking brilliant. So he didn't raid us that night. And then, bless, quite a few of our listeners were like tweeting at him, going like, "Oh no, you should have raided them. They're, the good lads, etc."
A boss, they're good family lads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I love that stuff.
So like, thanks so much to everyone who did that. But then he did raid us the following night, didn't he, Dave?
I don't know why you keep saying "didn't he, Dave?" like I'd fucked up. I mean, I don't know how you could blame me for that. So what happened was, I was playing. The servers were down on Fall Guys, and I was like, I might just stop the stream. I wanted to play Fall Guys, and then I think it was Matt suggested I put Shenmue on again. So I was like, okay, I'll put Shenmue on. And what happens when you stream on a PlayStation? It cuts your broadcast. And then you load up the new game, and you got to start it again.
It's so weird that it does that.
Yeah,
I never knew that. That's
I think
insane when you
I don't know why it does that.
Why are you offline again? It's like
maybe it's got something to do with because certain games don't let you stream, does it?
True, or maybe it's changing video modes. Anyway, no matter.
So Zaffcakes, so raided you, and then he's like, "Oh my God, raid!" And it was like, bang, offline.
Yeah, because I was switching back to Fall Guys because we were playing Shenmue, and it wasn't very good, and then you said, David, Fall Guys is back. So I was like, oh, brilliant, Fall Guys is back. So I switched to Fall Guys, and it cut the broadcast. And as I'm going back to start the broadcast on Fall Guys, I look at the chat and it's going crazy, and I realise that he's raided me, and I just thought, oh shit! So it launched up again, and then you were having to go at me about it. What could I have done?
It was just quite frustrating to watch. No, you're absolutely right. There's nothing you could have done. It was just like...
But I didn't know, and I was just reacting to Matt telling me to switch back to Fall Guys, so if anyone's to blame...
My favourite bit was... I can't remember, someone had tweeted about it, and... Bilal sort of... someone tweeted saying like, oh, thanks for raiding them, mate. Hope they were ready for it this time. And he just replied with, well...
I didn't see that. But no, about 100 of them stayed on. After that, maybe some more, maybe 120 or so. And they were all top lads. So we were all happy that they joined us, and they seemed to enjoy the stream. But then the next night, Matt streamed a bit of Fall Guys. I mean, he was awful at it. And he was saying things like, "Oh, David never wanted to do a multiplayer stream. He was having a go, and now he wants to do one." I was like, "No, I sort of suggested. I didn't think it worked. I'm still not convinced that it would work.
It did. We had a good time. It was two of us.
And B, right? Here's the other thing, right? So I'd been following Fall Guys for ages, and I was really looking forward to it. And then as I started to see the game coming together and the release date was coming out, I thought, right, this is the game I'm going to stream. I haven't streamed for ages. I'm going to sit there. I've got an idea for the stream, how I'm going to play it, and what I'm going to do. I've got this whole thing for it. Then when it started picking up traction on Twitch, you were all going, oh, yeah, I'll stream that. And I was like, well, I don't want to say, hold on, I've been looking forward to this because I don't stream, so I haven't really got any right to, I don't stream because I'm not very good at streaming. I'm not trying to hide that at all. That's the reason why I don't stream often. And when you all going, oh, yeah, I'll stream that, I was like, that's a shame because I did have an idea for this one, but okay, I'm not going to kick up a fuss about it. And then Sean just asked, oh, did you want to do like a solo stream? I was like, yeah, I do. So you went, okay, do a solo stream. I did the solo stream. I didn't think it worked. A, the tech in the PS4 for streaming is not that great. And B, because I'm not very good at streaming, I thought this isn't really working as well as I'd hoped. So we did the multiplayer stream and it was fine. But I never said we shouldn't do a multiplayer stream. Where's that idea come from, Matt?
There's like 3 or 4 suggestions from us, and there's like, no, it's not going to work. And
I did say we should absolutely do it.
To do a multiplayer stream.
I said we should absolutely do a multiplayer stream. I said I'd like to do a solo stream. That was how the conversation went.
Do it. Just sort of kept telling us why it wouldn't be any good.
Yeah, well, I don't think it'll work. Right? Do you want me to tell you now? I mean, it's very boring, but I don't think it'll work because if we do our 4-player one, right, there'll be a lot of I've finished. I'm out. But no one will see any of that stuff. They'll only see that one player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone will mind.
I mean, maybe they're not. I don't know enough about Twitch, do I? So maybe what I'm saying is that I'm open to being wrong about this stuff. Okay. That's fine. I haven't got a problem with being wrong about it. Matt seems to be very aggressive with this stance here. And I can only put it down to him being bitter. I think we could go back to the point that I originally made at the start of the podcast that he's a very bitter man at the moment.
Which would you rather be wrong about? Fall Guys multiplayer stream being good or Bugsnax secretly being a horror game?
Well, obviously the Fall Guys thing, because if I'm wrong about that, we get a great stream out of it. If I'm wrong about Bugsnax, we get a game where you're going around catching little fruity insects. Like it's, I mean, that's an easy answer. But I don't know. I think Matt, when you switched to Fall Guys last night, in the back of your head, you really wanted that crown, right? You really thought, here we go.
Of course. But
if I get the crown, this will show him.
In, and but I got a crown today, thankfully.
Was that your first?
What, through the XP?
No, but I'd already had one for XP. No, I put a video out for. I got the. I did the whole one. The one where you actually have to grab the crown.
Okay.
I came so close, 4 or 5 times today, where I was a millimetre out from the tail one, or lost it in the last half a second, and. Yeah, but I'm glad I eventually got a crown.
Oh, I reckon Elodie did that. Is that enough Fall Guys? That's enough Fall Guys, isn't it?
Kane and Rince's highlights of the week.
We think that the console is named after the colour of green that is used to signify and promote it, the Pantone 360. Whether there's more to it than that, I'm not sure.
Sean, did you have anything else to talk about?
Yeah, a couple of quick ones. So I've been playing... For me, this came absolutely out of nowhere. New Apple Arcade game. It's a Game of Thrones game.
I saw this.
It's a new game.
Yeah, called Tale of Crows. I mean, games based on Game of Thrones, not a great track record. I think probably the best one was the Reigns spin-off on mobile, right? So this is a sort of idle, kind of choose-your-own-adventure kind of strategy game where... I forget, have we all watched Game of Thrones? No. Cool. So basically, Dave, right, at the northernmost bit of the world in Game of Thrones, right, there's a big
Newcastle.
There's a big fucking wall of ice, and there's a castle there, and some basically prisoners are forced to spend the rest of their lives guarding it because some bad zombies from the snowy bit north might come down and try and kill everyone, right?
What if they go, I ain't guarding this, I'm a prisoner?
Then they get killed.
Why would I? Oh,
so,
it's a vicious world, isn't it? That Game of Thrones.
It is.
Vicious.
Very, very nasty. And so this is set 8,000 years before that, what we know of Game of Thrones. So it's set around when this whole culture and this system was first established. And you play as the commander of the Night's Watch, and you just basically sending out expeditions north of the wall to try, either investigating sort of rumours you've heard or just gathering supplies or whatever. Occasionally people visit you from the south, or there'll just be a knock on your door and one of your soldiers needs to talk to you about something or has got a question for you or something he's dealing with. And it's designed to, it's interesting. I'm playing it on the iPad, right? And obviously you could play it on iPhone if you wanted. I suppose you can play it on Apple TV. Probably wouldn't work on that. the iPhone, like if you're playing it on your phone, I imagine it would be more like you'd load it up, make a couple of decisions, close it again, and then not think about it for half an hour, whatever. Whereas with the iPad version, like I'm just leaving it on while I'm working, and it's great. It's so good.
Okay, so it is an idle game, is it?
Yeah, so
That's
it can
dangerous.
be like you'll make a few decisions, and then so say you've sent some expeditions out or whatever, and it will say basically like there's nothing for you to do for a bit. Don't worry about it. Not in those words, but it basically tells you when it's safe to ignore it or go away. But it's so beautifully presented, and like it's got this really lovely sort of cell shaded, sort of posterized look to it. And like each of the sort of bits of landscape you look at are these sort of beautiful little sort of cut out diorama things. Yeah, it looks beautiful, and the soundtrack's amazing. Just this really nice, usually quite sad, sort of mostly piano led, bit of orchestral stuff here and there. But it's just a lovely thing to just have on, and so like if you get a little sort of story event or a decision or whatever that's within the castle, it's like there's like a knocking on your door to let you know that someone like needs to speak to you. So I'll just be sat there like working away, and then it's just fuck me, what would you want? Like it's just something excellently atmospheric about it, and then you're like, oh, someone's having nightmares about ghosts. Tell him to fucking deal with it. I've got spreadsheets to work on here, mate.
Am I right in thinking that it's basically you're being told a story by Jon Snow? Is it?
I mean, I don't know if it is him. It's basically the idea is you've sat down in a pub somewhere, and basically a member of the Night's Watch is telling you stories about the Night's Watch.
Right? Do the member of the Night's Watch all sound the same then? Because it sounds like every impression I've heard of that character ever.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, they tend to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's
because I was going to ask
it's a Yorkshire accent often if in the Night's Watch, and I guess a lot of Game of Thrones actually, to be honest with you.
Okay, I just don't know the world well enough. Then I've just assumed. Okay, fine.
And it's really cool because I've watched Game of Thrones. I'm not like a super fan or anything. I've not read the books. I'm not into the lore or anything particularly. But it feels like it's setting up loads of things that would be really interesting if you were well into Game of Thrones. And so you're making these decisions, and then as sort of story events happen, there'll be certain soldiers or members of your organization who sort of stand out, and it's like, right, you now know this guy's name. This guy could be like a leader potentially, and then he can be someone that you send out on expeditions, and like they'll lead expeditions, and they all have different traits which affect options and stuff that they get when they're out in the field. And then eventually, obviously, the reign of each commander comes to an end, and then you pick another one, and then depending on their traits, there might be like different story events and different things they can do, and you're building up this this history and this lineage of all these different commanders and what they achieved and what their sort of defining sort of story bit was. It's great. It's absolutely fascinating, and it's just so nice to see obviously such a huge property like handed to such a small team who've just been able to do something really weird and interesting with it. It's the team that did Space Plan. I don't know if any of you played that.
No, I've not heard of that.
It's a sort of idle clicker game, but like one of the really good ones.
I think I remember that. That's the idle clicker that actually had a storyline behind it and stuff.
It's by them, and it's cool. It's really cool. It's honestly, I would consider it worth resubbing for if you've. I know you've all lapsed on Apple.
Can you buy those games? Can you buy those games individually? I assume you can.
I don't think you can. No, I think it's.
No, I think you can't, because I saw the other one the other day I wanted to get, but you couldn't without the sub.
But then if there's
the sub's not much, is it?
Well, this is it. It's like, what is it, like a $5? So if there's like 2 games you want to play, and you reckon you can tuck them both in within a month, easy decision.
Yeah, it's
really.
worth looking into. Yeah, for sure.
When I first saw this, I thought it looked a bit like that Bad North a game, but I think do you ever play that on Switch?
I did. So Bad
sure.
North is much more like that is a strategy game in terms of like you're ordering units around and trying to like outflank enemies and stuff. Whereas this is like if there is any combat, it's like so it'll be like one of your groups is out in the in the wilderness and they'll send a raven with a message saying we got in a fight. This is what happened. So there's no sort of like tactical like combat or anything.
So I thought it looked like what was that game, the isometric puzzle game that I played not too long ago with the
Almost Gone.
The Almost Gone, yeah, because there's loads of these games doing these sort of diorama style looking things, right? And it's got that in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. When you like the sort of the area around your base, the Castle Black, is sort of like there's quite a wide area around that, and you can sort of pan around and look at it. And it's really nice. But then when you guys are out in the field, there'll be and you'll get a communication from them, and then it shows like just this little chunk of land that they're on. So obviously they've just done like loads of these little bits. I don't think you can view it as like one entire landscape, which would be cool, but I understand the budget.
There's way more gameplay involved than I thought from looking at the trailer briefly.
Yeah, it's really good. Really like it.
You played the Almost Gone, didn't you?
I played a bit of it. I didn't
get on with it.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd really like the look of it. The writing wasn't really grabbing me.
It's weird.
Yeah, I mean maybe I'm not giving it enough of a chance, and I just felt that like the puzzles sort of ended up very sort of just try everything on everything in some places.
It does have a bit of that, yeah, for sure.
And some of the visual metaphors in it are not subtle.
No, they're not. No, they're not. It's weird. I'd like to talk to someone that completed that game. Though I've got a lot of questions. Okay, yeah. What was the other one?
So the last one. So this is one I've talked about before. It's Nowhere Profit. Which is a sort of roguelike deck building game similar to sort of Slay the Spire. I think there's quite a few of these doing the rounds now. Griftlands is another new one from Clay, which is apparently very good. But this is one I talked about. It must have been about 6 months ago, but it was on PC and it's now out on Switch. And basically, my verdict of the PC version was it's really good. I wish there was a Switch version. Now there is. Yeah, it's really worth checking out if you're into this sort of thing. It's
also on Game Pass.
Is it? Oh god, yeah, it is. Yeah.
On Xbox,
well worth a go, man. It's like because the thing with Slay the Spire and Griftlands and similar ones is it's usually like it's a roguelike in the sense that you're picking your way across a map, sort of choosing which way to go, and there'll be different encounters. Some of them will be shops or towns you can rest in, and then some will be combat. But it's usually like your one character and your deck is like abilities that your character has. Whereas this one is like you're leading a caravan of survivors across like an apocalyptic landscape, and each one of those cards is one of your group, right? It's a person in your group. And obviously like Magic the Gathering or whatever, that's always been a thing. Like your cards are like your followers or whatever, but there's never been any attachment to them. Whereas with this, it's like, oh no, if people die, they die. Like if I send a card into combat and it dies, then it's gone from my deck. They're allowed to fall in combat once, right, and then they become wounded, and you can play them. It's really interesting because you can play them again, but they cost less resources to play. But obviously, it's riskier because if they then get wounded a second time, then they are gone forever. And yeah, it's just cool to have a game like this where it's like, yeah, do you know what? Get attached to your cards. You really don't want any of you guys to die as you go, because it's like and it sort of weaves them in, like, as well as them being sort of tactically important or whatever. They also sort of weave them into the story as well. There'll be story events where it's like, something will happen, and it's like, oh, this character has suddenly piped up and has a suggestion or whatever. It's really nicely done, and it's on Game Pass. Like, definitely have a go, Matt. If I know you're not really a card game guy, but
no, we said apocalyptic, so I'm in.
Yeah, there you go. It's really cool. Really enjoyed it on the Switch. Really nice to have it on a handheld. That is it.
Awesome
from me.
Cool. Capone, did you have any games you wanted to talk about or no?
I was gonna just mention Superliminal.
Oh yeah.
Superliminal. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I heard about it for the first time, really, when you're talking about it on a podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Scale, which you didn't mention, not having a go.
I don't know why I've not played it. That's why I didn't mention it.
So it was a Kickstarter
bit narky, that
project that I backed like years ago. So what happened to Scale? So I went to the starter page.
Was that? Were you asking me? Was that the start of a presentation, or what was that?
It's a rhetorical.
Okay. But it just never come out, and you were genuinely concerned and asking me. Okay.
So, guess what the original date was for this game?
Go on.
2014, and it's still not out to this day.
Oh, wow.
Right. What has happened to it?
The creator, Steve Swink, he hardly ever provides updates on his Kickstarter, much to the frustration of his backers. But he's not a con man.
But what? Are you defending him? This isn't a call.
It's not a call.
How do you know?
Because he's done like multiple gaming conferences and keynotes, and
maybe they were all building up to this though.
But he does like these videos where he really passionately talks about his game.
Well, that's what a con man would do.
He'll like tweet every 1 or 2 years. And one of the last comments he received on his Kickstarter comments page, I went and checked, was check out Superliminal, offering what Steve can't.
Cool. That's a bit. Did you post that though?
No, that wasn't me. The funniest comment was something like, I was 14 years old when I backed this game. I'm 22 now, and I don't even enjoy video games anymore. So, anyway, I was looking at
really
both
sad
Scale
story.
and Superliminal. Scale was first shown in 2013, whereas Superliminal was 2014. So it kind of looks like Superliminal saw something that, from this very popular Kickstarter of Scale, and kind of did something, tried to improve that concept, but with a bigger team. I did reach out to Steve Swink through because I found out that he was following Peter Molyneux.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was about 2 weeks ago. Still not replied.
No reply. No.
Doesn't update people or talk much. But
okay, did you enjoy? Did you like Superliminal?
Yeah, it's alright.
Okay.
No,
cool.
Kind of reminded me very much of Unfinished Swan. It has like this really.
I had a few moments of that.
It's one of those really short games where it's it kind of stands out, I think. And I know you were having a go at it with the really on the nose ending, but I think it.
No, we were defensive of that. We said that was a really nice change from the norm.
Oh, yeah, you did. But you said it was very on the nose. But yeah, actually, I'm very much on your wavelength where I think it was earned because the transition into madness is very, it's a very gradual thing. And towards the end, it's starting to play around with expectations really a lot. And then, I thought it was a really solid puzzle game. And I'm glad that you mentioned it because I wouldn't have thought to give it a go.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with it. As I said, the ending, although it basically says, this is what this game means. It was quite nice that it did that because the message they gave across at the end was such a nice positive one, if a little bit cliched. It was it's really, really wonderful. Did you finish that in the end, Sean?
No, I've still not bought it on Switch. I'm going to.
Oh man, get on that. Yeah, it's really good, really good.
And then I was going to move on to the next game. Can I move on to the next game?
You may, yes.
Thanks. That's
you're welcome.
Doom Eternal. So I bought this at launch at full price, and I played it for 2 hours.
It sounds like you're trying to return it.
I hated
Have you
it.
got a receipt?
Really?
But last week I gave it another. I thought I'd give it another go. Played another, 2 hours. Still don't like it.
Great.
I mean, I have to say, like the original, like the previous one, I was a really big fan of. I completed it. But yeah, like this new one is just like, I think you've really nailed it on the head when you talked about it, but it's generally just really overcomplicated, and every time you progress, it's just adding layers upon layers of instructions in awkward, like small UI windows with small
I've
text.
heard it's really a different experience on PC. Like, it's really easy to switch through between those mechanics on PC, but doing it on a controller really sort of makes it tough.
I mean, I've stuck it on like the easiest mode, and I'm just dying all the time, probably because I've missed all the something in the instructions. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention it because the DLC was announced this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which wasn't mentioned.
Which you shouldn't buy because the game's not good. Is that
well,
what you're
the
going?
question is, will it be like Doom Eternal, or will it be like the previous Doom? And I actually looked on Metacritic, and like Doom Eternal actually did really well. Like, not just with the critics actually, but it sold well. It sold 3 times the amount that the previous Doom did.
Really?
So I don't think they're going to change it.
No, I can't see them changing it either. And I must admit, when I first started playing it, I thought, oh my god, this is really good. I like the stuff they've introduced. I like the new enemies. This seems really good. But I think, about the 2 hour, 3 hour mark, I was like, okay. I think it's the first mission after you get off of your ship, because everything up to that point I was loving. And then after that, when it sort of opens up a bit, I was kind of like, I'm not digging this as much now. In fact, actually, the good thing about Doom, the first, not the first one, but the reboot, was that every combat area I was excited to walk into, whereas I didn't have that feeling with this. They seem to be getting in the way more of a frustration than that last game. So, yeah, a bit disappointing, but what can you do? Some people still really like it, so maybe it just didn't click with us. And that's it, is it, Capone? Cool. I mean, I'll be very brief. With my other game, it was I've briefly played. I haven't put the hours into this. I think I'm about 2 or 3 hours in. I've been playing Rogue Company, which I didn't know anything about, and I still don't know much about. Or what I do know is that it's fucking fun to play. Apparently it's a free-to-play game that you can buy now, but it's not officially out until September or something. But you can pay for like the Founders Edition. I think it's like 25 quid. And it's essentially a hero shooter. Sean, you knew about this. So how did you know about this game?
It was on. Was it on the really rubbish Nintendo Direct? Or...
It was on that third party partner Direct.
But it's
right.
I mean, it's by Hi-Rez, who've done.
Yeah, they did Paladins, right?
Yeah, they've done a load of stuff I don't really care about, but they also did Tribes Ascend, which is a fucking blinder. So, and they have a really good forward-thinking policy on crossplay. They're just like, no, everything should be crossplay. It benefits everyone. Anyone who doesn't like it is an idiot. So, yeah, I was really hoping this was good, but I wasn't really convinced from what I'd seen. So.
It's really good. Yeah. I like that game. It is good, and I think it doesn't help because it does look quite bland, generic. Yeah. Like the characters look like characters you would see in hero shooters, but none of them really stand out as anything unique. But it just feels really good fun to play, and I think it's benefited from me playing a lot of Halo, because it feels like what they call that type of first-person shooting. Is it scan hit or something?
Yes.
Cool. Where you put the crosshair over a character, and if you hit shoot, like the fire button, it hits them. as opposed to calculating traction and movement
Oh, that's
and
right.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Hit scanning.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Something like that. It feels like that. Whether it is that or not, I don't know. But Halo is definitely that, and this feels like I'm getting way more kills than I have done on recent first-person shooters. And now this is a third-person game.
It's a new game.
And it feels like the movement is just about right. You know, it feels nice and fluid. And basically, I've only played 2 game modes, but they ultimately boil down to last team standing. So one of them is you get 1 life and the last team standing wins, or you're also supposed to be setting bombs, but I haven't quite wrapped my head around all that, and defusing bombs and all that sort of stuff. There's another one where your team gets a set amount of lives, and once you've run out of lives, it's last team standing. But again, there's this thing about owning an area. I don't know what owning that area does yet. I haven't worked my way through all of the mechanics around all the different sort of rules in a game mode, but basically it's 4 versus 4 very small maps. Each round you earn money, and between rounds you can upgrade your weapons or buy perks and stuff like that. And it's just a hell of a lot of fun to play. It feels like the maps are really well designed, where there's a central point that everyone's trying to get to, but at the same time there are loads of different ways that you can go to flank your opponents. Again, the shooting just feels really good. Because with those scan hit shooters that we talk about, one thing that I have noticed is that one thing that I'd totally forgotten when I went back to Halo is how important headshots are. Because it feels like with the other ones, it's like just try and hit your target, because it's a lot harder to get your hits in. Chances are, if you're shooting at the character, then, there is an advantage by going for the headshots, but they're a lot harder to hit. Whereas in these style of shooters, it's very much just go for the head, because it makes such a big difference and it's easier to do. And I love that stuff. So I've really been enjoying it. I haven't worked out all the characters yet. I'm still working my way through them to find out which one my favourite is, because they've all got their own special ability. There's like a radar character that seems really helpful, highlights people if they get close to it. It feels like a mixture of so many different games. It's really funny. At the start of every round, the map is very tiny, like they're very close quarters maps. Yet you still jump out of an aeroplane and land like you do in Apex Legend. Like it is that sort of thing where it's not like in PUBG where you're floating for a while. You just like zoom down on these like wingsuit things, and you got smoke coming out behind you, and you land. And I said when we were playing it last night, there's no point to this, is there? You might as well just spawn in your spawn point. Yeah. Like it's the same thing, but for some reason they've added this in, and it feels great. So yeah, I've really enjoyed the few hours that I've put into it so far. I want to get into it further. But yeah, you should, if you want to take a step back a little bit. Like it feels like a game where they've looked at all of the extra stuff that's been added to third and first person shooters in recent years and taken that stuff and shoved it in a game from like the 360 era, the early 360 era, sort of small maps, small teams, and you just like it's all about getting a jump on your opponent rather than being able to snipe from the other side of the map if you've got an insane amount of calculation going on in your head that where the bullet's going to land. And I appreciate that. And it feels like it's really quick. You get straight into rounds, in and out of rounds. The games don't last too long. You can get hammered, but I've found my teams also sort of fluctuates. The matchmaking feels about right, where I'm getting hammered some rounds. There's been some tight games other rounds, and I've hammered people in other rounds. So, really not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be generic and dull and not really worth getting into, but I've been loving it so far. And yeah, it's kind of on sale, but apparently it's going to be free to play.
I was going to say, it's technically early access at the moment, right? So if you buy like a founder's pack or whatever, I think it's only about 15 quid, but and you do get 25, extra shit, don't you? It's like
you unlock like 6 of the characters from the off. I was provided code for the Ultimate Edition, so I've got all the characters unlocked and all that sort of stuff. So that'd be pretty cool once the game fully comes out. I get a bit of an advantage there, but I have a lot more time. I can tell that I'm going to put a lot more time into it.
Cool.
It's just because it's funny because I also played that Rocket EA thing. Rocket Arena. And fucking hell.
No?
I mean, I played this and thought, this feels really good, Rogue Company. But I've played Rocket Arena and thought, no, this feels terrible in every way. And who knows, if I'd have put more time into Rocket Arena, maybe I was missing the point or whatever. But, it was that whole thing. It was like, knock out a character. It's not about killing each other. It's about knocking them out of the map. Yeah. And then you fly back in. But that's not how it works. It's not like Smash Brothers. It's just when you lose all your health, you magically fly off outside the map and then drop back in again. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's really bizarre.
Bollocks. What a shame.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. But Rogue Company, keep your eye on it, because I think if they play it right and they introduce the right amount of content at the right times, then this could be pretty damn good. I'm certainly having a lot of fun with it.
And isn't it nice not having to worry about which format you get? Are you playing on Xbox, are you?
I'm playing on Xbox, yeah.
I mean, the sticks are more of a problem, but I was just thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have the Switch version? But I don't know if I'd actually play it handheld or not with those analog sticks.
Yeah, I think you'd get wiped out. I mean, funnily enough, you say that, we turned off cross-platform play when we were playing the other night because we found ourselves matched with PC players that were absolutely wiping the floor with us. So, and there wasn't an option like to tick certain formats that you would play against. It was just cross-platform or no.
Does that, doesn't it? It's like you can either be like just mobile and gamepad, just gamepad and mouse and keyboard and.
I'm pretty sure they'll introduce that at some point. But there'll always be that thing over the back of the head, just thinking, what if a keyboard and mouse player has managed to install something that makes it think that it's a gamepad?
Well, there is. This is going back to the previous chat about controllers for phones, because obviously I've been watching like YouTube reviews of some of them and stuff, and like a lot of the cheaper ones, they're not actually. So the phone doesn't interpret it as a gamepad. It's just you put an overlay over the screen. So basically, this button press means tapping the screen here, and this button press means tapping it here, right? So you can essentially emulate it in a game that only has on-screen controls. And I was like, that sounds absolutely wank. Why would anyone want that? Because you can play mobile Fortnite with it, and it doesn't know it's a gamepad, and it gives you a massive advantage over everyone else. Apparently, if it detects you trying to use a gamepad, you can get banned and stuff. But yeah,
I hate people.
Yeah, people are just a bad idea all around.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad ideas,
okay,
should we do the questions?
Well, Matt hasn't. Matt, did you have anything else to talk about?
It's just Fall Guys and a bit of Hitman. But yes, that's mostly Fall. I mean, I restarted playing Fall Guys on Friday, but played it a fair bit over the weekend. But that's about it for me.
Yeah, it's a good game. Good game.
Kane and Rince's highlights of the week.
And Ashton Herman says, I was really glad that Leon brought up his experience with trackballs in arcade machines, always pinching the skin of his fingers when he was younger. Same thing happened to me for years, and I'm still nervous to play those games in the very, very rare occasions I actually find one in an arcade. Yeah, I got over my fear, but it used to be a real thing when I had small little child fingers with delicate skin. Super Mario Maker series.
Right, okay, go on then.
It's getting late.
It's tweets time.
All right.
So I'll just we'll do a couple. MD,
we got a few for Capone, right?
We have got a few. Yeah, so just go straight for those first and then see how we're doing for
Let's go for those first.
If you want to send us any questions, tcgs.co/dear TCGS. SMW at Not Spaceship on Twitter says, Adam has famously interviewed many big-name stars on his own podcast. If you could all pick one person to interview, who would it be? So that's not really a question for Adam, it's just about him. If we'd all pick one person to interview?
Oh, God. Buxton, maybe? I'd like to talk to him about a few things.
Yeah. I think mine's probably Steve Coogan.
Coogan would be a good one, but have you seen him in interviews? I don't think you'll like what you get out of
pretty
it.
Frosty, isn't he?
He really is.
Even in interviews like with his mates, you can tell I don't know if that's just how he comes across, or if he's actually feeling quite sort of guarded or what, I don't know. But then of course there's that bit of your head going, no, but I'm the number one super fan. I'll get through to him.
Yeah. I constantly have that in my head about if I ever got to sit down and talk to Josh Homme.
Yeah.
And I could talk to him about songs that he probably never gets asked about, and he does. But it's How about you, Matt? I can't imagine. What streamer? How about me? Is it me?
It's definitely not you, no.
Very bitter. Go on.
Yeah, that is it that historian? Is it Simon?
Don't even know his name. The interview's not going to start well. Please welcome to the show, Simon. Is it?
Yeah, I was going to say it's Simon Sharma, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, Simon Sharma. Yeah, I mean, all his stuff has been amazing. I don't know much to add to it, but it's not about the interviewer. I'll have the questions prepped, but I'd be fascinated to hear always documentaries I've seen has been amazing. So I guess he's
Gervais. Would you do Gervais?
I mean, Gervais was one of the options in my head, and I was like,
I will say this about Gervais: whenever you see him, even on like the smallest shows that you think you're probably above this, like you don't need to do this show or whatever, he does seem to be really engaged regardless. You never see him where he's looking disinterested and pissed off to be there, do you?
No.
Mr. Frog.
You got one in.
Alfino will roll.
Did flow.
Okay.
Did flow. Yeah, that is fine, that one. Okay, Capone, I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Bruce Willis.
Any reason why? So you could tell him your joke.
Actually, no, James Corden.
Yeah?
Why?
Because I think he gets a bad rep. Have you seen that thread on Armok?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. I'm well.
No, go on.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's just depressing. I hate that stuff. It's just... go on, Adam, explain what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was funny at first, but now it just doesn't sit well with me.
Well, what is it? I've not seen
it. It's basically
you
a
are laughing.
where everyone hates...
Yeah, the thread it used to be called... I think they've changed it now. It used to be called... I wish James Corden would die or something.
No. It's basically like, why isn't James Corden dead yet?
That's it.
That is a bit strong, isn't it? I don't like the guy, but
you hear loads of people. I've never liked that. And people just calling people the C word. They don't know them. I've never understood that. We've been over this, I think, on
it's all. For me, it's more like I say, I don't like the guy, but I've just got better things to do than insult a stranger in a format he'll never even be aware of. Or I don't know.
I mean, it'd be worse if you did it in a forum that he is.
Do you know what I mean?
Aware
It's
of.
like why just fire that negativity out into the void?
Yeah. Why are you wasting your energy and time hating someone you've never met?
Because they find it funny.
Your family or does that against you personally, I get it. You would hate that person, but that's just you don't even know that person. You just
I don't say this as a dig or whatever, but they find that as a form of comedy, right? Like that is the funniest. How who could be more nasty about him and stuff like that's what it's all about. It's not wasting energy on anger. It's trying to be more outrageous than the next guy that was slating him.
Okay.
I think
not
that's
that
what
particular
it
thread.
is.
I was mean generally people who I've never understood that. I just don't like it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. I mean, there was a time, without a doubt, that I went through a phase of finding that stuff funny and great and being a part of it and everything. But then you change, don't you? You realise actually that's not a great thing to do.
Yeah, so
although we do it to James on a weekly basis, so at least we know him and we do it to his face.
Yeah.
Where was that coming from? James Corden?
Bruce Willis.
No, it was James Corden.
Are you sticking with James Corden? All right, fine.
Yeah, I was if I just want to...
What would your first question be?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say to him...
Have you seen this forum thread?
No, I'll just be honest. I'll say, I don't like
Why
you.
aren't you dead yet?
No, I don't like
you.
And I don't like anything you've ever done, Bean. But you're not a bad person. But
would you do that while laughing? Or?
That'd be amazing. To start out, like, hey, it's a bit awkward now. Let's move on. What's your favourite movie?
Did you not like Gavin and Stacey? Gavin and Stacey's good.
Yeah, Gavin Stacey was brilliant. You must have watched that, Adam, no? Do you not see that?
No.
I mean, like, Gavin Stacey was one of the things I saw advertised on BBC Three for ages. I'm like, this looks terrible. It's like, no, it's not for me. And for whatever reason, started watching it. But yeah, that was actually surprisingly great. I really like that.
Yeah, I liked it too. We'll get shit for that, Matt. We'll get shit for that. There's some people that are like, oh, Gavin and Stacey. I like it. I thought it was good. Okay, all right, next.
Samuel Regan Edwards. Double barrel surname. It's a warning sign, innit? I love that.
Why?
It's just a bit Tory, innit?
Okay.
She can't change his surname. Take that back, Sean.
Says, I loved Adam's last appearance, but I can't find the first episodes of Graham and Me anymore. Are they still available, and is Big Bother anywhere?
No, so yeah, you can find those episodes. They're on Steam Cloud. Just type Graham and Me.
What the fuck is what?
You mean SoundCloud?
Steam Cloud. I thought that was like some new podcasting service, and then when Matt went, "What?" I just thought, "Oh my god, does Matt not know about a new podcasting service?"
Yeah,
SoundCloud.
The problem with that was that I only did like an episode every few months, so it wasn't worth having the monthly subscription for it, and I just could never really find a good platform for it. But they are on SoundCloud. Just type Graham and Me, and they're all there, minus the vasectomy episode.
Yeah, Big Bother's nowhere, and it will be nowhere ever again. Because about 3 years ago, we listened back to them, didn't we, Matt? And we said these can never see the light of day again.
Yeah.
I still get people liking that on Facebook.
Yes, it's people getting it wrong.
Yeah.
It's either people thinking it's Big Brother or literally one person that tried to talk to their brother on that group.
No.
Oh, you had that a lot. It was
that
insane,
happened. Yeah. Hello, how are you doing? Stuff like that. It's like hope mum's well.
It's not quite as good as people's grandmas signing off messages tagging in Grandmaster Flash. That's my absolute favourite.
That's a good one, yeah, I used to work for a marketing agency called Delete, and we got countless messages every day from people just messaging us, just saying like delete Facebook, delete message. Like, what do you think you're doing? You're typing in the top bar, delete, and then
sent it. Amazing. I think it's like, you must have to put like a command in. Yeah.
Yeah. We still get little every now and then a view of On the Cube, which was our Facebook page showing pictures that people had drawn on the Peter Molyneux game, the Cube or whatever he called it. Curiosity.
What's in the cube?
Yeah. What's on the cube? We kept that up for about a week. Got onto the front page of Eurogamer, and then couldn't be bothered to update the website anymore. There was too many swastikas on there.
I set up a Tumblr.
You did set up a Tumblr. Yeah, well done for that. Well done. Early doors, Matt. That's pre-Matt. Okay.
This isn't really a question, but it's worth reading out. Rudgy says, evening TCGS co and sons and daughters. I don't know whether you remember, many months ago I wrote to you about how I use your podcast to get me through training for the London Marathon. As you no doubt saw, the race has been postponed now until October 2021, and I, as well as other runners, will be virtually running 26.1 miles in our local areas. I'm running with
You're asking for a virtual hat this time. Is this where this is going?
No, he's actually made a purchase.
Whoa, hello.
Yeah, he says, I'm running with a group of friends and we'll be wearing a shirt from someone who means a lot to me for each 5-kilometre leg. So 8 shirts in total, including Birmingham Children's Hospital, Warrington Wolves, etc., etc. I've just ordered a spangly new TCGS shirt from the lovely tcgs.co website and will be wearing it for one of the legs. You guys have really kept me and many others going during this period. Even James's innate grumpiness provides a level of reassurance in these troubling times. I have you down for the first 5k at the moment, so you'll see me all fresh-faced and not looking like I'm about to collapse. A big thank you for your work and for future Sundays when I pound the mean streets on my long run giggling along to the pod. A big PS with regards to your correspondent a couple of weeks ago. I am a medium-term listener, and I do actually work for Carling. Molten Cause, who owns Carling. I continue to preach the good word of how key video games are, and will be happy to take forward any sponsorship proposal to our brand teams.
Matt, do you want to be sponsored by Carling? Do they still go by Carling Black Label? That's what I remember when I was like younger. Is that's the same company, right?
Yeah,
that used to call themselves Carling Black Label, and then they dropped the Black Label bit.
Yeah.
Carling Black Label. I just remember that going up. Constant. Do you remember that, Sean?
I mean, vaguely.
Just me.
Well, no, I definitely remember Carling Black Label. Yeah, that was what it was called, but.
Yeah, but you didn't say it like that, though, did you? How did you say it, Matt? Come on, let's hear it.
Carling Black Label.
I love it. Yeah. Okay.
Right, I'm going to do one more because I'm dying of heat. I don't know about you guys.
It is so hot.
Bad. Appropriately, Matt King has emailed in. He says, in the recent heat wave, my PS4 Pro switched itself off with a too hot message. The first time it's ever done this. I've been thinking of taking it apart for a while now, but I had no choice. I followed a teardown video on YouTube, and although it comes apart into a lot of pieces and has about 40 screws to take out, once I peeled the matted dust off the radiator and replaced the CPU's thermal paste, it's run silently. My fans used to come on full power, just sitting on the Apex Legends lobby screen, and now I can't even hear it. Would highly recommend it for anyone suffering with a jet engine of a console, and although it requires a bit of careful handling, it was quite easy. Don't send me any bills if you fuck it up, though. Cheers. I don't think I'd have the patience for that.
I took my PlayStation apart loads, and then after it wasn't really ever truly fixed, the next option was to take off, the CPU, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No way.
Yeah, thermal.
I'm thinking about flogging mine.
Really? Just getting rid?
Yeah, well, what have I got to play on it anymore apart from Fall Guys? But Fall Guys will come to Game Pass, won't it, eventually?
Probably. I mean, if it does, if it really does have legs long term, then you'll pay £15 for it, won't you? Several hundred quid you'll get for the PS4 Pro will take the sting out of that 15.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine. I don't think several £100 for a PS4 Pro now. I reckon about 150 now, right?
I would have thought you'd have got 200, but no, mate, that's naive.
Yeah, I reckon 100, 130, maybe.
At offers at David Turner's. It's got PT on it, although I'll probably wipe it before I sell it.
Console, actually, because obviously new ones are coming. The obvious thing is sell them, get everyone. But I was like, well, maybe I could keep one and have it downstairs, and maybe that's like, but
that is true. It's got PT on it, so that adds like.
You should send it into a museum, Dave. It's got PT on it.
I'm not going to do that.
You should donate.
I want money.
National Museum.
Give it to Blathers. Do you want to? Is that how museums work? Do you take it in? And you say, do you want this? And they go, do you want a fact on it? No.
Take it.
I just want to go.
I think of my personal collection.
It's got too many bugs in it.
Like, are you guys thinking in terms of consoles as potential hand-me-downs for the kids now, or...
No.
Okay. No, just wondering if that was a thing or not.
I'm not.
If I got a second Switch, maybe then. But I mean, not for the PS4 and Xbox. But yeah, I'm thinking, do I keep one downstairs? Like, nice to have downstairs. But if I get new ones and I'm going to want to sit on the TV, I'm going to probably want to take the PS5 or the Series X downstairs to.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Harry's not got a TV in his room. Is that weird?
His age, that's about right. Yeah, I would hold off on that with Isaac as long as possible.
Yeah, I'm not doing. We're not doing any of that shit yet.
Elodie has asked for it, but it's not happening yet.
Sorry, Adam, you were going to say something?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say I'm surprised that, I keep hearing that you're always having issues with PlayStations, and I was going to say I've had my PlayStation 4 at launch. And it's never had any issue at all. I've just had the same PlayStation. No noise.
That's
issues.
bollocks.
No, honestly, I've had a PlayStation from launch.
Is it because you don't turn it on?
Yeah, no, I do turn it on.
Bollocks.
So for Last of Us and stuff.
I think it's because you're always updating stuff and tinkering.
You are in Canada though, and it is a lot colder there.
Right.
than it is.
I think they do
over
have
here,
central
I guess.
heating, though, Dave.
Do you have central heating?
Well, it's all paid for here.
Yeah, but it's there.
What does that
It
mean?
doesn't matter who pays.
What,
for
sorry,
it.
what does that mean? It's all paid for there.
Yeah, like when you move into an apartment, you don't have to pay for heating, so you can just have heating on 24 hours a day.
What?
Yeah.
You just get free heating in Canada.
If in like rented apartments, yes, that's the
Right. Okay. You're right. So your rent covers the heating.
Yes.
Okay. Fine.
But,
Well,
I make sure that I get my
happy for
money's worth. Just keep it. Keep it on.
Just keep it on in the summer. In full blast. That's not a bad idea. Okay, and that's it, is it?
Yeah, sorry to those that didn't read your questions out. I'm sweating to death.
This is excruciating. I'm not going to lie. This is the most uncomfortable I've ever been podcasting.
It is a good fucking
and
job,
it's not
James,
just
isn't
the
it?
heat.
It's me as well, isn't it?
It is you. It's like getting blood from a stone.
Yeah.
Capone Adam. But thank you so much for coming on, man.
Oh, you're welcome.
How cool is that you're back?
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
I can't wait to hear how you're going to edit this together.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite a mission.
It's going to be
I'm
a good
looking
one.
forward to it. Matt, have you got any socials that we need to plug this week?
Yeah, so James probably isn't going to stream on Friday, so forget Friday. Forget James streaming on Friday. Maybe one of us will pop up as well.
Yeah,
on
I ballsed up. I thought I was going to be streaming Fall Guys a lot this week, but I'm away from tomorrow night until Saturday, so there will be no streams from me this week,
Nice.
I'm afraid. Sorry.
Going a nice little post-lockdown holiday.
No, I'm just going to visit my uncle in Birchington. No,
Where is
Birchington? It's near Margate, mate. It's the it's the Cockney coast. I think it's the way of it. But no, it's on the coast. It's a nice area. It's a really nice area. I love Birchington, so I'm looking forward to going down there. But we're spending a few days down there with my uncle.
Cool.
So yes, so James.
Why you asked? Why are you acting like a? Okay.
Yeah, so James won't be streaming on Friday. Maybe one of us will pop up. On Sunday, I've now done all Hitman 2016 levels, and I'm going to take a break now until I go on to Hitman 2. So I'm going to stream on Sunday, but I don't know what I'm going to stream yet. I want to find like a new series I'm really going to get into.
So yeah, send some suggestions in. I'm interested.
Also, one I don't embarrass myself.
I was going to say, send suggestions in, but nothing that you like too much, because you might see Matt ruin it and hate it. And
yeah, you've been through that.
I want to find a game, right, where I don't end the stream thinking I don't want to stream ever again in my life, because it's just so horrendously embarrassing. I want to find. I don't know if maybe that's just not possible because I am who I am.
I am who I am.
I don't know. I want to find a game I don't. Like an embarrassing twat, but anyway,
Mass
I will be
Effect
streaming something
would
on
be
Sunday.
good for that.
Worst case scenario will be a game I've already got, but hopefully if you're listening to this at TCGS, go on Twitter or just tcgs.co/deartcgs. Let me know what you think I could stream. I mean,
Mass Effect. We never did that. That was the original idea of original idea.
No, I'm not doing. I don't want No, I'm not doing that.
Fable 2, I think, still has something there.
yeah, but we discussed that. We think there's
Possibly
elements of it
problematic.
that didn't really.
I don't think it's as problematic as you remember.
No, I don't
Sean.
know. I don't think it's like offensive. There's just like treatment of sex workers and stuff in it. Maybe just a little bit.
Maybe. There's got to be like a big series that you.
Yeah, I mean, there must be loads. I'll see. But yeah, if
It's
anyone
such a shame
listens,
you
got
haven't got
suggestions.
Mario Maker 2 as well, because that would be a great stream. Just watching you create some levels and try them out, and that would be.
Yeah, it'd be like that band who, as a band, but they'd never heard music. Like me trying to create Mario.
Yeah. Like Sean's favourite band. What were they called again?
The Shags.
Yes.
The Shags. That's right.
Anyway, there will be a stream on Sunday night, whatever it is. There will be a stream Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Turn up, and then Tuesday, Sean is back for Play by the Bell. Right. Tuesday night at 9 p.m. They're all on twitch.tv/TCGesco. And today, Twitch have rebranded Twitch Prime.
Well, they haven't officially yet. Have they? Oh, sorry. When this goes out, they
it's
will have.
Live now, yeah. So in recent years, like Twitch have tried to, go outside of gaming. There's like Bob Ross, there's art on there, there's like IRL streams. They've done a lot of stuff, but now they've decided to rebrand Twitch Prime to Prime Gaming. I don't quite.
That is very strange. I mean, we all know that I suppose we can say friend of the show, Ian Lee he's moved his radio show onto there. Every night on twitch.tv. So they're clearly pumping money into trying to branch away from gaming, yet they changed it, or it sounds like they're going to change it to Twitch Prime Gaming, is it? What was the...
Yeah, so obviously you've got like Prime Video and Prime Music, and now it's just weird. Anyway, basically, if you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Prime Gaming. And with that, you get 1 free sub a month. Please think about going to the channel and give us your free sub. We really massively appreciate it. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGS. There's various tiers, exclusive podcasts, you get to watch us live, do some streams that you can only patrons can watch, and so on and so forth. And there's just other ways to support us over there at tcgs.co for everything else, including the store, links to our social channels, you name it, it's all on there.
Also, sorry, I might as well just say that. Give Ian Lee's show a watch, because he's doing some really interesting stuff on there, and it's his phone-in show, but they're also trying new things, and it is it's every night at 9 o'clock on Twitch. Obviously, if we're live, watch that, but if we're not, check that out just for one night and see what you think of it. It's like 3 hours of him just talking to listeners and stuff, and it's been quite funny watching him battle the insane amount of racists that try and sneak onto the show. But also they sit there and watch old TV shows sometimes and just talk about it. It's quite good. I've been really enjoying this show on there. So, cool. Yeah, plenty of stuff out there. And thanks again for coming on, Capone. Hopefully it won't be 3 years until you're on again, although I suppose we'll wait for the feedback before we decide on that.
Yeah, leave it a week.
Thanks for living it. We will catch you next week. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Cheers.
When I said leave it a week, I didn't mean that I'm going to come back next week, but wait for the feedback to come back and then analyse if that's if in the future you want to bring me back.
I think the listeners are aware that you don't get to decide if you're back next week.
Well, I'd also like to say that it kind of sounds like James is at the end of the road, so maybe if
getting there.
If the listeners want to who would you prefer to see in the future?
Do you want a hashtag? Put a hashtag out there for people that would want you to replace James. What would the hashtag be?
I just want him, James, if you're listening, when you're ready, just let me know.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the hashtag though? If you want people to tweet about you replacing him.
No, not James 2. I don't know.
Goodbye, everyone.
Okay.
I've missed my opportunity now.
Yeah. Anything else, Capone?
No.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Okay, I'd just like to say thanks for listening to the edited version of TCGS, the computer game show. And I'd just like to say that on behalf of all of us, the listeners, we would like to say thank you to those who keep doing gaming podcasts throughout these hard times. They didn't have to. They could have just, I don't know, got a bit sad or whatever. But they still come out and really let's try and lift people's spirits. They do it for us, and I just think that we should be thankful and identify that they are still continuing to really entertain us. So I think we should all clap, and I don't care what you're doing right now, whatever you are doing, whatever, just stop. I don't care what situation you're in, just stop and just clap for a minute. Okay, so I'll start now, and you just clap with me, whatever the situation. Okay. I forgot to. I should have timed it. I've not. Hold on, I'll just get my iPhone counter. Bear with me. Got the. Not the alarm, the timer thing. Okay. 1 minute. Okay. Seconds. Five seconds. Okay, and that's a minute clap. How do I stop that? Okay. So sure, like they may not hear that, but they will feel it. Well, apart from Dave, who probably will hear it because he'll be checking this edit just to make sure I've not done anything liable. Whereas, Matt, Sean and James, they'll probably just feel it, which is fine. That can be quite nice. And, this is for all the other podcasts out there, Kane and Vince, GameSpot UK, Yahoo Gaming. Okay, bye.